on the video platforms just yet. Let me just check a few things here. Here we go. And so it doesn't really matter. There we go. Bang. That's all right. You're not going out just yet. Nobody even knows what I'm talking about. So there we go. Right. Hi, everyone. This is Paul English Live. Let me just have a look at something else, and then I'll explain. Oh, I'm in a slightly hysterical state. Let me just check a few bits and bobs. This is Paul English Live. It's Thursday. It's just gone 3 minutes past 8, and I'm slightly late, but I think we're up and running. Yes, that's jolly good. Hi, everyone. I think we're going out now over Rumble and YouTube. All will be explained for the rest of the next 3 hours. So, good evening, everybody. Let's play a little song right now to get it going. Oh, it's a blur in here. Believe you me, it's a super blur today. I'm all blurry, but we might even get some clarity in this show, but there might be some shouting. It's been a challenge getting this all put together today for all sorts of wonderfully interesting but rather tedious reasons. And I wondered whether we were going to have a guest. And we are. Gary Vendale will be joining us for hour 2. La. Sorry, you don't really want me singing that, do you? But I had to sing it because there's so many buttons missing. Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. I'm here with Eric von Essex and Paul Beaners here. I'm not putting him on the microphone just yet. I just wanted to say hi. Sorry about the kerfufflage start. Very good reason for it, though. I've had the technical trouser week from hell this week, literally. I think, quite simply, the worst week behind a computer ever. Anyway, before I sort of bend the whole show to my will with regards to that, I'm going to bring Eric on and Paul on. Eric, Paul, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Good evening. Hello. Paul,
yes.
your music is a little hot. It's hotter than you are. Just bring it down a little bit when you play music during the show. It'll be fine. Just a couple of last minute tweaks. Tell us what happened to your week this week.
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Paul. I'm glad you asked. Anyway, quick shout out to everybody on WBN. I'm glad to be here. I was sending messages to Ria yesterday saying this is going to be a bit touch and go. In fact, middle of yesterday afternoon, I didn't think we would be doing a show today. It sounds awfully dramatic, doesn't it? It's a big deal in my tiny little life. And everybody on WBN, we're glad to be here. We're here every Thursday, 3 p.m. US, 8 p.m. UK time. We're also on FFT radio. We're going out fine on that. I can see that. I think we should also be going out on Radio SOAPBOX as well, and a few other platforms, Global Voice Network, Holy Land Radio, Eurofolk Radio, places where we usually go out. But we're very lucky to have a show this week, or at least I am. I'm very lucky to still have a mind, to be quite honest. So yesterday morning, on FFT radio, I was scheduled to do the breakfast show with Callie. Callie Spell does a Wednesday morning breakfast show from 8 till 10. She had Mark Steele on in the second hour, and I'm scheduled to be on in the first hour. And I was up, bright and breezy, really rather looking forward to it. I came down, sat down in front of the computer. You know those things. You're probably all using them to listen to this now. And I sat down in front of the computer at 7:30 and turned it on. And I got, for the first time in over 40 years of sitting behind computers, I kid ye not, I got the blue screen of death. I've never had it before. I've seen other people whimper like children, and the bottom lip goes and everything. But there it was, staring me in the face with 30 minutes to go. Now, as you possibly know, I've got my finger in quite a few technical pies around here. I wear the technical trousers all the time for lots of things, general sort of technical dog's body, and quite like it, of course. I wouldn't do it otherwise. But there were lots of things that needed adjusting, and I was blind. I couldn't adjust anything. So I didn't think particularly straight. Looking back on it now, I think, well, if I just wound it all in and just looked at the situation calmly, everything would have been fantastic. But not so. So we ended up cobbling that first hour together. Unfortunately, it didn't get broadcast. And it didn't get recorded either. And it was really good, everybody. I had a fantastic chat with Callie yesterday morning. We both quite enjoyed it until I found out that the whole thing had not gone out. Now, Mark Steele was on in the second hour, and he was pretty good too, although can you hear the birds in the background? They're singing a spring lament for me. And, God, they are noisy little blackbirds. They're lovely fellas, actually. And Mark Steele came on, but his internet connection was pretty ropey too. Anyway, after the dust had settled, after 10 o'clock, I sat down and looked at the devastation all around me and realized that I just didn't have an online life anymore. I'm serious. It's a bit dramatic, but it's kind of true. So I immediately phoned up some repairmen. Hello, are you a computer repairman? I need, a bit like bicycle repairman, I need computer repairman. And I found one who said he'd be here for 1:30, but that rocked onto 3:30. Nevertheless, that was fine. He was a very sharp lad, really good, took the whole thing apart, I realised as I was talking to him, I said, you're really in a miserable job, aren't you? You're the bearer of bad news to so many people. And he sort of smiled. He gave me the wry computer mechanics sort of look. And he said, yes. And I said, what are the chances? He said, which was what he should do. And anyway, what had happened is that I'm sorry to bore you all to death with this kind of stuff, but if it ever happens to you, you'll be able to relate to this part of my conversation, right? Maybe it already has. But he said, yes, your SSD drive is not playing ball. I said, I'd kind of gathered that. And the drive had failed completely, which is a bit of a blow. Now, all the files are there, but I won't go into too much nitty-gritty. I needed it for passwords more than anything else. And I know you're out there listening and going, you fool, don't you write them down everywhere? You ought to say how many I've got, right? And not all the time. And I do have some backups, but I've been doing so much work over the last 4 or 5, well, particularly this year, last 3 or 4 months, that there's just tons of new stuff. And that's all the stuff that I need because it's the stuff that I'm working. Of course, it's all wrapped up in the password section of the computer that's now dead. So I was kind of stressed out a bit yesterday. Yeah, I was quite stressed and rather morose. Yeah, a bit like I'd had a funeral, like a huge part of my life had died. And it was...
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, you and I have had the same week with the same problems, but the difference being that mine occurred day after day after day, kind of like a Chinese water torture. You're hoping that the drip will stop, but it invariably never will. Mm-hmm. Yours was kind of like a flood all at once. I'm so sorry, dude.
It was, they say a good night's sleep will put things right. And I didn't have a good night's sleep. I had about 4 hours sleep last night because I was just like, my eyes are out on stalks. And I felt like the bunny rabbit in front of the headlights. What am I going to do? Anyway, I got up this morning and I had to do a recording with Althea Finch. Now, she also does a lot of podcast recordings which are going out over FFT radio. And this was really good for me. It was very calming. So I just forgot everything for an hour. I got around to about 11 o'clock and I thought, right, I'm going to fix all this stuff. And I haven't been able to do that, actually. But it's looking good. I've lost a huge chunk of files. And then I was trying to see the good in that. And I thought, I don't know about you. Maybe everybody listening does this sort of thing, depending on how long you've been sitting in front of these things. You sort of drag files around from machine to machine for years. You know, I've got stuff from a long time back. Oh, I'm not letting go of that. It's like hoarding things. And it's all gone now. Whether I want to keep it or not, it's just gone. And somehow, in a slightly enlightened and stupid sort of way, I'm feeling kind of as if a weight's been lifted, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe this is a signal for a completely fresh start with all sorts of things. So there's a positive in it. I'm having a wonderful discussion with with a server company, and it could be any sort of company, and I bet people will recognize this sort of conversation. It's absolutely bizarre. So it's on a series of emails. By the way, my mobile phone has saved all of this. I had 2 email accounts on the mobile phone, which I've needed to open up practically everything of importance that I'd lost. There's only one last thing. Anyway, I'm speaking to this company, and I say, now, look, I need you to reset the password for me because the email account that's used to open it up is dead because it's on a server that you're managing, that I run, but I can't get to it because I've lost all the passwords to get in and sort it out. And they're going, we can only accept communications from the official email account. Yes, okay. Yeah, well, I can't get to it, you see. It's taken about 4 emails. They're very funny. Now I've got to send them everything, including the inside leg measurement, the whole genetic history of my family going back to 1654. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And they've been slightly apologetic about it. We said, terribly sorry, but you do have to fill all this in. We really have to know our customers. I mean, you could be anybody. I've sent them sort of like a track record history of all the payments I've made and everything. I'm going, who else would actually bother to waste your time doing that? Are you serious? Really? I mean, how mad can you be? But it has little sway in this world. And that's the last thing. So just to let you know as well, on Rumble and YouTube, the reason we were late tonight is that I run a thing called OBS. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's the go-to app that you use to send out a stream to YouTube and all this other thing. And with 4 minutes to go to 8 o'clock, it wasn't even installed on the machine. I'd completely forgotten that part of all my thing because I've installed about 20 things today. I thought, that's it, covered. And it wasn't true. It wasn't covered. So we got that up and running. I think we're only a couple of minutes late, really. How about that? So there you go. That's my day. It's been far. It's been. I'll tell you what. I've been like, it's like someone's put 5 rockets at my arse today. I've never gone I haven't gone this fast in years. It's just like, right. I'm not gonna be bossed around by this thing. Another thing. I've got to tell you this, and then I've got to go and pick up my cup of tea, which is going cold in the kitchen. So you guys are gonna have to talk for 20 seconds or something. I had to move. I've got a machine that hasn't failed me, which is the old machine that I'd been using up to about 2 years ago. I had a lot of good stuff on it, and that saved me a lot as well, right? So I do have backups. It's just that I didn't have the recent stuff. This is what's caused the problem. Anyway, I've got about 2,500 music files, one of which is the opening music file for this show, right? Which is not on Spotify. In fact, that track, nobody even knows what it is, and you can't find it anywhere. It's quite amazing, really. I've been looking for it everywhere, so maybe that's why we kind of get away with it. I shouldn't have said that, should I? The way things are going. 2,500 music files from that machine to this, and basically sliding them across the screen onto the new folder, they all disappeared. I'm just going,
what?
No, seriously, this is about 3 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going, hello, where have they all gone? And it took me an hour to find them. They'd gone into some new folder that it suddenly decided to create called, I don't know, something or other. Am I boring you all to death out there? I'm terribly sorry.
No, my oldest boy did that to me.
Right? Okay.
I was doing a record hop. This is 30 years ago now. And I had all of the music library on computer. I brought 80,000 songs with me. And then my oldest boy decided to sit down in front of the computer and show me how good he was with computers. And all of a sudden, my entire music library was completely gone. And what he had done is he moved the parent folder into the My Documents folder on the computer. It wasn't where it belonged. It just completely disappeared. It was an easy fix, but the only thing I could tell my boy, and I love him to death, was, get out of here, kid. You bother me. Because here I am. I'm in the middle of a radio or a music show.
Yeah.
With 150 people watching my every move, and my music disappeared. Dude,
this is fun.
You're going to
It's
get
exciting.
up behind a microphone.
I know, it's exciting. It's very exciting. Anyway, this is all pathetic boys stuff, isn't it? Isn't it pathetic, really, on one level? But I tell you...
Oh, but it's fun.
It's
fun for techie nuts.
Fun. I've got some very sad news, though, with regards to all the clips that I had. They've all gone. I'm never getting those back. Although, well, it might be a few weeks before I get them back. I've lost all the farts. I had an array of farts, right? 4.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they've all gone, Eric. What am I supposed to do?
Do you still have Starmer? Please tell me you still have Starmer.
I've got nothing. I've lost the lot. Right? It's just so I've got. No. So we're going to have a new soundscape around here. So I mean, I don't know what to say about it. You go, you idiot, you fool. Well, this is true. Although I did speak to a guy today, and he said, I can't save your passwords. We can't get those back. He said that's impossible. He said, but I'll probably be able to save the files. So I'm going to go there next week and pay another chunk of money to get those back. I think this is a local guy who I trust a lot. He's done a few things for me in the past, and he's pretty good. So there we go. Now, look, talk amongst yourselves. Paul's here. Hi, Paul. Anorak. Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening. You okay?
Good evening.
All right.
Yeah. Now, you guys all introduce yourself as if I've just going to the bar to get a beer, but I'm not. I'm going to the kitchen to get my cup of tea.
Go get
I'm like that.
Tea before it's
shouting in the kitchen. Yeah, I'll be back in a minute.
Mine's a pint, Paul, if you can send it by post.
Yeah. I'm fine, thank you. It's Paul, don't mention anything about buses.
Hey, well, I was interested in your little conversation whilst I was in the green room about electric vehicles, and I thought that was quite interesting. Yeah, well, very interesting.
I think that we do need very small electric vehicles just to go down the shops. And that's all. And when mothers pick up their children, have, say, 2 seats at the back, small seats for children, that you can have for putting shopping in and things like that. Because why have a bloody great wagon to just go down the shops in? You've used the bloody great wagon to do long journeys. I think that's a bit different to Paul in America, because in America you do vast journeys a lot, but in Britain we don't, because we're in Ireland, and we drive on the wrong side of the road as well.
The problem here is this country's huge. I mean, it's 800 miles across Texas, just Texas. So, and I live 35 miles away from the nearest big city and 25 miles away from the second nearest big city, or the second biggest city. That's 25 miles away from me. But I basically have nothing within 7 miles of me. Nothing.
That's going to be a good thing. That's going to be a good thing, though, because I mean, in the UK, we're probably no more than 35 miles from any big city or major town, if you like. It's unless you live in Inverness or if you're far north of Scotland, then yes, there was quite a vast amount of space. But
I have to drive 35 miles just to get to a city of over 1 million people.
Well, I had to walk 5 yards into the kitchen to get my cup of tea, and it's not warm now. I spent so long gassing it, the tea's gone cold. This is dreadful.
Oh,
it's just a knock-on effect from the day. It's getting worse and worse and worse. What can I do?
Now, may I ask
a very highly personal...
Yes.
Wait a minute. Let me
question. Is it milk first or afterwards?
Afterwards.
That's the correct order.
And is it tea bags or tea, or are you into rhubarb tea yet?
What? Rhubarb tea? No, it's actually...
It's South African.
It's Earl Grey. It's Earl Grey, and it's fantastic. So with tea, it's I put the hot water straight onto the bag, right? And then I add the milk to suit after it's brewed for a while. With coffee, I actually mix the peasant instant coffee with the milk for a bit, and then I add it in later because I know how to judge it. I'm okay with it. It's fine.
Instant coffee. Oh.
I am a peasant. I'm a peasant. I like it. I'm proud of it.
See, my mum used to make.
So, anybody here have black coffee?
See, my mum used to do coffee.
Go ahead.
Do we have a little lag here? Have we got a little lag? Who's lagging? Are you okay, Paul? Are you hearing us in real time? That's Paul Anorak.
Is it me?
I don't know. So what I could do, Paul, is I could go 1, 2. I can go 1, 2, 3, Paul, and you go 4. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
4.
Not you.
4.
Him. There's definitely a lag, Paul. Tell you what you should do.
Is it me?
You've got the lagging issue. I think you have. Leave the studio and come back in. I'll pop you back on the stage. Let's see if we can do it. Okay? Maybe just refresh the tab. I'll drop you straight back on it. Sometimes it's a bit like, clearing things when you're a bit blocked up. It's like being constipated. Might help.
Yes.
Okay.
Talking
I'll get on
about
the
that,
one sec.
my auntie used to make a cup of coffee that would, I don't know quite what it is, but it always used to work on my bowels. And whenever I went over to my auntie's place...
Here we go. We're 18 minutes in.
Cup of coffee, and within about 5 minutes, I needed the loo pretty quick. And I don't know what... It worked on my dad's bowels as well, so I don't know what it is about my dad and myself. But it's something to do with my auntie's coffee. I don't know why.
Yes.
I think it was instant.
I'm very happy for your bowels.
I know.
Yeah, I could have gone all day without hearing that.
Well, I'm glad you did that.
Do you need me to reset too, Paul?
No, I don't think so. Why?
But by the way, have you stocked up on coffee? Because there's going to be a shortage of it. So I've stocked up.
Right. I tell you what, I think
we'll
there's going to be a shortage of as well. Even more acutely than usual is brains. There seems to be.
Yes.
There's going to be a tremendous shortage of those. I mean, did this happen last week? Did we mention this last week that the government are now? Are they going to plunge into the private pension fund? I can't remember. I was talking. Was that on your show?
Yeah,
of course
I think
they
we
are.
did mention it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I forget. There was one infrastructure project, I think it was, in Oklahoma, or at least Joe in Oklahoma was talking about it, and it was like $4 billion, and the actual financier of the project was like the Canadian pension fund. So $4 billion of the Canadian pension fund was diverted to this, probably like a data center, an AI data center project in Oklahoma.
Lovely. Over here, do you know how much they're going to plunge into over here? The entire pool of private pensions is valued at £2 trillion. And they're saying, well, we're the government. We ought to have a bit of that when we've got a problem. That'll help us manage the country, into ruin in a turbocharged speed. Everything is, it's not even worth passing criticism. We're in full flow psychotic meltdown. And there are literally no people in this space, it seems, that are able to put a brake on it. They're all just in Tharn. Oh, yeah, we'll do this now. Now we'll do that. Like, what we need is more government to sort out all the problems that all the government caused.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do?
When Queer Starmer goes, who the bleed now we're going to get in his place? That's what I'm a bit bothered about.
Yeah,
someone even worse.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just be another puppet like they all are. They're always they're all Jesuit puppets ultimately, and they're just the front man, aren't they?
Well, we're the government. We ought to have a bit of that.
Yes, men.
Yeah.
But
did you just say Jesuits, Paul? Did you just say Jesuits?
I did.
I believe he did.
Yeah.
Well, I just sworn on.
No. You've cheered me up. No end. It's funny. I was out on Tuesday with the tribe. What was I eating on? I had fish and chips. I hadn't eaten fish and chips for a couple of years. So nice haddock and really good. I asked them if it had been cod, I wouldn't have had it. I can't. I'm not into cod. It's always a bit tasteless to me. But haddock.
Cod Almighty.
Yeah. Sorry about that. And
that's the name of the fish shop near in Bristol.
Is that right?
Cod Almighty. Yeah.
Cool.
There's a time and a place for that joke, though, isn't there? Sorry.
That's all right.
You stop it. What's going on around here? It's as if you're having fun. It's outrageous.
Something fishy going on around here,
Yeah. You're not lagging either, Paul, now. Now, Paul, you haven't got any lagging going on, which is quite good.
It's amazing. Nice? I've kicked the hamster, and he's working fine now.
This is really good. Anyway, what was I talking about? You see, I've completely forgotten about it.
You had fish and chips.
Oh, Jesuits. That's right. Anyway, Jesuits came. Well, we were talking about a lot of things. I know we've mentioned this book before on this thing, but I'm going to mention it again for those of you who still not picked it up, you naughty people. You should hunt down a PDF copy of Rulers of Evil by Tupper Saucy. It's always worth pushing this book every now and again. Yeah, Tupper, Tupper, first name, Saucy, Saussey, and he was of Huguenot descent. He died in the early 2000s, I think about 2004, 2005, something like that. Fantastic guy, wonderful story. It's kind of relevant to when Gary comes on as well, so I might touch back upon this when Gary's coming on about just after 9 o'clock, if I can find a record to play, or something like that. And because Saucy's first book was a thing called, I was going to say Mayhem on Main Street. What is it? It's something on Main Street. I can't remember now. The words jumped out of my head.
Miracle on Main Street.
It's a miracle. Yeah, although I prefer mayhem now that I think about
it's
it.
A miracle I could remember that.
It is actually. I'm impressed. And so Saucy was basically mucking about with the income tax because he discovered that when you're of a certain status, this is in Paul's bailiwick, when you're of a certain status, you're not liable to pay it. In fact, you don't have to pay it as long as your status is sorted out. And so he'd been not paying it. He decided he wasn't going to pay it. And so he didn't pay it for like 8 or 9 years, and everything was fine. And then suddenly they decided that it wasn't fine. They were going to prosecute him. So they took him to court in the around about 1990, I think it was, 91, something like that. And at the arraignment, I think this is the get-together where you all have cups of coffee and Earl Grey tea and you find out who's going to be prosecuting you to ruin and all this kind of stuff. They're hanging around, and he gets introduced to this guy who, it turns out, used to go to college with his brother, which was a Jesuit college. So the lawyer for the plaintiff, government, was a Jesuit, and he got to it. And Saucy raises this just quite casually, not knowing what the form is in this place. This guy looks at him and said, "Oh, I can't talk to you anymore. I'm prosecuting." And off he goes, this kind of stuff. Anyway, he got prosecuted, did Saucy, and was liable for X number of years in prison or something. And so he was at home, on whatever they call it, bail or something like that. And then the day comes up where he's supposed to check in to the government's hotel for a few years. And I think he said something like, "I found that my legs just wouldn't take me there," or something to that effect. So he decided to not go. And instead, he went round the States for about 9 or 10 years, not like a chump, but going to libraries all over the place, picking up old manuscripts and documents and things like that from the formation of the States, of the US back in the 1700s, right through to the current day, finding a whole sort of tracer effect. And from it, he ended up writing this book called Rulers of Evil. And it's about 400 pages, and it's one of the most densely packed with information and ideas books I think I've ever read. You can read a page or a page and a half, and there's enough stuff in that couple of pages to keep you thinking for a week. It's extremely rich. It's like reading the equivalent, I guess, of whatever it is, something very rich. That fish that stirred caviar. It's like caviar. That's really what it is. It's very, very rich stuff. And he comes up with some astonishingly brilliant bits of research, tapping into the whole of the Jesuit order and the Catholic Church. And everybody, I would suggest, who's sort of oriented that way would get a great deal from it, because there's a wonderful bit at the beginning of the book as well where he's been released from prison and he's written the book, and they're at some kind of a book fair with his agent. And I think the agent writes the foreword to the book, and he said, "I knew we were onto something," or some words to that effect, when we're at this book fair, and a publisher that I know, who's very open-minded and published lots of things that would mainstream sort of more conservative publishers would leave alone. He said, "I saw his face go ashen," or something to that effect, as Saucy outlined what the book was all about. Because he said, and what really threw him over the edge was when Saucy ended this little meeting by saying, "And so, evil does exist in the world, and God has instituted the Catholic Church and the Jesuit order to control evil." And the thing you see that he's putting across is, how does God constrain evil? He uses evil to do it. And the Jesuit order is, I think evil's a good enough word for it. They're astonishingly intelligent people, highly organized. You just mentioned all this, Paul. And tremendously learned. Tragedy and Hope by whatever his name is. I can't remember the names today. I've been frazzled. Carol Quigley. There you go. It just takes a little while for my hard drive to work properly. It's a little bit clogged up. Yeah, by Carol Quigley was trained.
Your brain has been immersed in technical trousers for days.
I know. I'm just trying to come back to planet Earth a bit. And, I think he was trained at Georgetown University or something, which is a big Jesuit college. Where Clinton went as well, and he wrote this massive book called Tragedy and Hope, which you may have heard of. It's very big. It's like 1,300 pages. I've got a copy on the bookshelves. I spilled coffee over it, though, at one point. It really put me off. I hate coffee-drenched books. I don't know why I did that. But it's an amazing book. It's an amazing book as well, because it came out about 1965, and they printed about 300 or 500 copies. They sold, and then it was stopped. They destroyed the plates and got rid of it. Why? Because Quigley worked with those forces that are in charge of the Earth, the big, high financial powers of the Earth. And it explains the whole sort of unfolding of the last few hundred years in terms of the arrival of technology, the organization of nations, what they're up to. Some blinding insights, really fantastic insights, very learned. And it's written by someone that when you're reading it, you go, ooh, this is a very refined mind. I wish I had one of those. It's that kind of, it is. You go, whoa, there really are some clever people around, and unfortunately I'm not one of them, because this is one of them, and I can see from the way that the guy writes. I like just tremendous stuff. Anyway, it all taps back into this, but Saucy's book, if you want to read something that's really going to thought-provoke you, I really do recommend it. It's outstanding. It's not talked about much. Here's the irony as well. It was published by Rupert Murdoch's publishing company. They didn't even know what they'd got. Right, they just published it. It had gone through the departments. It ended up rolling out, and they published the whole thing. And it's absolutely fascinating. It talks about these statues that are on the top of, is it the State House or whatever? I can't remember. It's a goddess. That goddess comes from Babylon via the Roman Catholic Church. Like you had the River Tiber, I think in Washington. It was originally that, wasn't it, Paul? I think it was on the early maps. The first people to own land in and around Washington were Jesuits. The whole thing's in from the beginning. It's amazing. There's also a wonderful bit when the founding about stuff and deciding whether to take the plunge or not, because it's a big decision. You're going to get hung if it goes pear-shaped, Apparently, some old guy, and I don't have a direct account of this, but according to Saucy, there's tales of some old guy basically stands up in this meeting and gives an amazing speech which pushed them into doing it. He gave them the last bit of motivation that they needed. And what Saucy asserts is that the head of the Jesuit order at the time was a guy called Lorenzo Ricci, or Lawrence Richardson, as I like to call him. I like to anglicize these exotic names. So Lorenzo Ricci. And what Ricci had done a few years before is he'd publicly announced that the Jesuit order was disbanded. This was a lie. It was another deceit. It wasn't at all. And he shot off to America to actually get involved in making sure that things were set up in a particular way from the start so that the Jesuit influence would be felt and be extremely powerful in the whole thing. It's an amazing story. It's absolutely amazing. You find out the Borgias and the Medicis are not Italians. They're Khazars, let's use that word for today. They're from Venice.
Yeah, Les.
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff. So it's.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah, Paul. I'll drink my tea now.
If I could make a suggestion, it would be a good thing for everybody, the entire audience, today, tomorrow, and next year. Carve out some me time or some you time, and get a copy of Tragedy and Hope and a copy of Rulers of Evil, and read one page of Rulers of Evil, check the footnotes, and 3 or 4 pages of Tragedy and Hope, and you will have enough to keep your mind occupied just sorting out those pages. And then the next day, do it all over again. Pick a time, 20, 30 minutes of you time, and it'll give you something to think about. And you'll know a lot more about the way the world works than you ever thought you would.
I've got to say, I do question everything. And I was in one of our local stores earlier on before I came home,
Yeah.
And the cashier was on. I've spoken to him before about sort of awake stuff like what the Earth is and all this sort of stuff. And I was still stood there for half an hour just having a chinwag with her about just questioning everything. And she said, "Oh yeah, it makes sense." People just need to question everything, especially things that they tell us is history and things like that. It's just everything's a lie that we're told, isn't it? Basically,
it is. Yeah. It is.
And also, you can pick the book up free on PDF. Use loads of PDF sites.
You can. It really needs to be reprinted. I mean, I find with a book like that, I mean, you might be okay with reading it as a PDF on the screen. And I'm okay with PDFs up to about 100 pages on the screen, but if they're longer than that, I'm not for some reason. I don't know why. There's something about having it ligging around on your bookshelf. It kind of advertises itself back to you. If you're feeling a bit lazy, go, "Ooh, I've just seen where that bookmark is. I need to nudge that along a bit. I need to pick that up. I've not picked it up for a few days." Because, life happens, doesn't it? Those sorts of things. But they should be right in the top 10, I would say, those two books, of any sorts of books that I would recommend for people to read if they're really serious about being really serious about why the other side are so serious about doing us in. Because it really goes into it. I mean, like, one observation that he makes is about South America. And also Russia, I think is a certain section I'm reading of sort of the development of the Industrial Revolution, all this kind of stuff. So in England, we got everything right. I mean, we just did, right? So because it was all began here with the Agrarian Revolution. So you've got that kicking off, and then you get the food going. Once you get the food going, there was a point, I think, I don't know what the date is, let's say it's late 1500s or something. It took 20 men working in the land to feed 24. So they could feed themselves plus 4 others. So that's how labour intensive it was, just dealing with food. It was big, right? Of course, as it went on with the arrival of things like, seed drillers and all sorts of other things, that number dropped. But then you get transportation, then you get the railways, Paul, and all this sort of stuff.
Indeed.
And everything goes in the right sort of order. We were also aided here by the fact that we're surrounded by water. And the really big plus to that is that we could move tons of stuff around in barges under wind power up and down the coast. You could just do that. On mainland Europe, fastest thing you've got is a horse. They cost a lot to feed. You need horse stations to change them. Much more expensive proposition moving things around on land with horses and carts than it is floating a coal barge down from Newcastle to London. You just float it down, right? So we had a distinct advantage with all those water, basically a natural waterway all the way around the islands, and they're not very wide across, and then we built the canals later on, all that kind of stuff. In South America, though, it went rather pear-shaped. What happened was that the British and the Germans arrived and built an awful lot of railways. Fab. Great. Unfortunately, there was no food being produced to transport on them. They'd got the transport, they did it in the wrong order. It's you get the food first, then you do the transportation, the infrastructure, and so on and so forth. Russia, of course, did it completely mad. Of course, the whole thing with Russia from 1917 onwards is nuts. So they destroy everybody. Then they spend all their money on armaments and starve everybody at the same time. It's just... There's a natural way to do this that you just go, oh, that's the way you do that, then that. Because the last 500 or 600 years, really, in terms of the way life's changed down here, have been astonishing. I suppose you could say the last 5 or 6 years it's been quite astonishing as well, really. But it's a book full of that sort of wide scope thinking that you're not likely to bump into much. You have to go into sort of books like that to pick it up, I guess. Well, I think you do. That's how I've sort of picked some of it up.
Do you ever think, though, that perhaps things like the railways have been there a lot longer than we're told? In the respect, and this links on to a film I was watching. I was watching a film called Unknown with Liam Neeson.
Right.
And at the end of it, they board a train in Berlin, and the camera pans out, and basically it's on a helicopter, and you can follow this rail line for miles and miles and miles. But it doesn't look like any of the buildings have sort of been demolished to make way for the railway. It's as though the buildings have been built around the railway, as though it was already in situ. It's very surreal. Like they think, maybe they aren't. Maybe they're older than we think they are.
What do you think? Do you think they're older than we think they are? How old do we think they are?
Yeah. I do think they're older than they say that they are. I really do. I think they've been a lot. I was watching some bits and pieces about trains that were powered by water only and not steam, and this was going back into the 18th centuries, and where they were showing pictures of like mainline stations where everything was just spotlessly clean. These trains were just magnificent looking things. It makes you wonder.
It does, although, is it AI slop? I think that's the new phrase, isn't it? I mean, there's some wonderful channels out there that really get me going. There's one called, I don't know, Tartarian Vault or something, and this, that, and the other. But the amount of images that are in these things are so considerable that I'm going, there's not people didn't even have as many cameras to take these amount of pictures, did they? I mean...
Or did they?
I don't know, but I just think it's very easy with AI, probably... maybe even easier to mimic a black and white photograph with all the smeary sort of fogs and defocusing that you're used to with that kind of stuff. It can cover a multitude of things. It's difficult to know. On one side, I'm sort of attracted to it. It's romantic. It appeals to the great storytelling. It's very sad as well that something brilliant exists. And I think many brilliant things have existed that we have been denied. On the other side, I'm thinking, but maybe our lads really did build some great stuff. It's just a way of denigrating Western man over the past couple of 100 years for doing some amazing stuff. Actually, Paul, somebody sent me something. I thought of you. Nathan Allenby, who was on Eric's show on Monday. God, my brain's slow today. Nathan, I've been speaking to him the last couple of days. Eric, by the way, I've been talking to Nathan on Telegram, and his audio is fantastic. I'm serious. It's really good.
Really?
Yeah, it's really crystal clear, no dropouts. And I've just been sort of taking him through that because he's a voice that really does need to be heard. And unfortunately, technicalities got in the way badly, didn't they, on Monday? You've had a bit of mare with that. It's a funny sort of week, really.
Oh, it has been a weird week. I mean, that really, I was absolutely cream crackered after that show because everything was going wrong, wasn't it?
It was exhausting, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. It was like, every wire was coming out of the wall and just going wrong. You go, I can't believe this. This is just it was mayhem. We reached a new low tide watermark of technical buffoonery, I think, with that show. It was just amazing. Not your fault, but it just happened, didn't it? So,
yes.
Absolutely. But yeah, I've just been speaking to Nathan about a few things, and he sent me this video from a guy called, I think it's Vinny Williams. Are you on Telegram, Paul? Anorak, that is.
I am. It's very, I'm not very techy, I've got to be honest. I have a lot of issues.
You don't
with
need
Telegram.
to be. Just get on there and make sure I'm contacted with you because it's very easy to use and it'll do tons of stuff, but you don't need to worry about the tons of stuff. In terms of getting messages through and voice messages, it's absolutely brilliant. I know I'm a bit of a sort of fan, but I am. And it's not perfect. I know that. It's the least worst horse out there in my view. I think the other one's Session. Session's very good as well. Or is it Signal? I can't remember. Signal.
Are you done as Paul English by any chance?
Say that again.
Are you done as Paul English on?
I might be. Let's talk about that after. Yeah, I am. I'm actually. Well, I won't put it out here, but I am Paul English. On there.
Yeah.
So you should find it, and there's groups and things. But if you've got it on your phone and you're using it, it'll draw you into this cesspit of buffoonery that we're all in more fully, and I think you ought to be in there. But anyway, Nathan sends me this clip from a guy called Vinny Williams. On YouTube, and he's also got a big following on Telegram, about 5,000 or 6,000 people on Telegram in his group. He does a really interesting thing. I'll mention this good thing before I mention this rather sobering video as well. Every Saturday, or just about every Saturday, in fact, there's one coming up this Saturday in London. He has a location point where people meet him at 11 o'clock in the morning. They give him 20 quid and he runs off with it. No, he takes them on a tour of historical pubs. And they're talking about the whole architecture, the history of London, the proper stuff, right? The stuff that people actually get on a plane to come over to see, that they're smashing to bits. It looks really good. I mean, I was talking to Nathan about it, and he's up in Newcastle, isn't he, or somewhere like that. It's a long way to come.
That's right, yeah.
And, we're not necessarily fans of London, are we? But anyway, it does look appealing, and there's some photographs, and they're all sitting around drinking beer. I don't do that either. But I wouldn't mind hanging around with that bunch because you're on a similar sort of wavelength looking at things. Anyway, Liverpool Street Railway Station, Paul, which I'm assuming you're quite familiar with.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with it. I've been through that one probably more than any other station because I used to go out to Essex and have to go through the tube there, and then my wife worked in the city for the bad guys for quite a while, which was really rather delightful. And Anyway, they're planning to remodel it. Seriously. Yeah,
Oh no.
and we're talking about the arrival of more techno puke masquerading as buildings. It's just, and I don't know what to do when I see. Well, I know how I feel. I feel as bad as I felt when my computer hard drive crashed yesterday. It's that bad. I can't watch this stuff. I get so utterly outraged that they're just destroying beauty. There's not much of it left, and they just want to annihilate this stuff. Oh, it's all for economic efficiency. Oh, economic efficiency, you're interested? Well, let's go down to the Bank of England. I think we can get this sorted out. Bring a gun. I'm sure we can do it in a couple of hours. We'll just get everybody clear that they're going to hand over the reins to the bank. If that's what you're interested in, of course, it's more manure. And
it's about erasing the past.
Of course it is.
Yes, yeah, I was going to say exactly the same.
Yes,
but
it is.
In Liverpool Street, because you've got the one side which is under that beautiful glass roof, where all the intercity services go from and the services out towards where Chris lives, and then the Essex side is in the sort of the bowels to the right hand side, which is sort of, it's as though they don't want people really going there. They sort of hide the trains away. Oh, we can't find platform 14. No, you don't want to go there. You want to go to Southend? No, don't go there.
Yeah.
No. And then you got have you ever done Fenchurch Street? That's a weird station. Four tracks, 4 platforms, and as a railway terminus, and it's just, it's very strange. Fenchurch Street.
Yes.
Very strange little station.
Street. It is very odd. Yes. But I think that with...
You're a bit quiet, Eric.
I'm old enough. How's that? Is that better?
That's better. Just get on the mic a bit. Yeah. But quiet.
No, what it is, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when they were scrapping all the steam engines, and there's a massive steam engine scrapyard outside Liverpool Street Station, because my mummy took me to London one day, and I remember seeing it, and I was fascinated looking out the window of the train. I must have been pre-school age. I was very young, sort of 3, 4, something like that. It was a little tot. I remember seeing all these steam engines. It looked so sad, seeing all lined up, ready to be destroyed.
What if that was Stratford?
Maybe, I don't know. It's on the left.
Used to be big railway works at Stratford, which is now where the Olympic Village is in Stratford now. That used to be Stratford Locomotive Works. I've walked around there illegally. I didn't say that though. No. Yeah, used to have had a walk around there, taking a few photographs of locomotives back in the day. But all gone.
I used to be a train spotter, Paul, when I was younger.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Really?
Now, when younger, I mean from the age of about 11 to 13, that kind of age.
Where was your local station then?
Leeds City Station.
Was
the big station. And I lived in a place called Cross Gates, which is about 4 miles out on the way to York. And we used to go to Holbeck Shunting Works or Engine Works in Holbeck.
Holbeck.
Yeah. I don't know why I was taken up by this. My cousin had done it as well. It was just a sort of boys' thing. We all grew up to be trendy and interesting later on, but there was a little nerd period. There was a little nerd period there of doing things. After a while, I thought, what am I doing? What am I actually doing? The cool thing was, you've talked about diesel. When the Deltics arrived from London and stuff, the idea was you had to cab a Deltic. Talk about jargon, right? But you'd pester, can I come in the cab? Bugger off, right? But you get 1 out of 3 and they'd let you go in it. So all these stuff. It was quite a buzz, really. And, I was into model railways. I was a little boy with Brill cream in my hair. Great fun. Really, seriously, I loved it.
Oh, Brill cream. Oh, bleed, no, I remember Brill cream.
Didn't you have it as a kid? Oh, I want some Brill cream. Oh, you don't want that in your hair. I do.
Oh,
and then you get a party and you look all smart. You remember that phrase?
Yeah.
Oh, don't you look smart? I do, yes.
But the thing is, with when they electrified the East Coast Main Line, they did the bit from King's Cross to Edinburgh via Doncaster, and then they did the bit from Doncaster to Leeds, but never did Leeds to Church Fenton, which is just outside York, to connect it back up again. So you'd have the service from King's Cross to Leeds, which with a bit of brain power, if they'd have just electrified that bit, it went as far as Neville Hill. You'll know Neville Hill Depot. Mm-hmm. They get as far as there under power, but not any further. You think, well, you've spent all that money on all that wire. Could you not have just filled that little gap in?
No.
For years and years and years.
You know what this sounds like? It must sound like a bunch of old farts in the pub talking about stuff. It's really funny. Do you think we're reprising Last of the Summer Wine? Do you remember that train we saw in 1975? It's just bizarrely anal. It's very funny. I love it. You just mentioned Church Fenton as well. There's an airfield there. I think there was an RAF base or something. There's certainly an airfield there. I used to ride my bike out there as part of my little training run. It was about 15 miles from home, so I'd go out for 15 miles, sit on a fence, eat a Mars bar, jump on my bike, and get back home for 9 o'clock during the summer months. It was brilliant, actually. Sort of a little 30-mile jog on the bike when I was about 14, 15, 16, that kind of age. That's when I'd left trains behind. I just went and lived on my bike after that, something like that. It was great. It was really, really good. But yeah, we can. If you've got any tedious stories about your younger days, everybody, why not call in and let us know? And you can join in this Last of the Summer Wine edition of Paul English Live. It'd be fantastic. Go to paulenglishlive.com and click the Call In Now button. And but we're probably old and bedraggled. I'll probably ignore you because I'm feeble-minded today. But no, we'll try not to.
/Nerdfest.
Yeah, Nerdfest. Yeah, it's good. But there is a nerdy way of expressing, but also, I mean, I was saying to Eric, I was talking about you, Paul, behind your back the other day. I said, you know, all that train stuff is kind of odd, but then it's hyper relevant. I really do think it is. You know, I think there's a lot of meat to the bone with this stuff. The way that, I mean, effectively, every single area, the way that we think things should be done is mangled and made to be worse. And public transport is one of them. And, you know, it's just, and it's important. A lot of people do rely upon it. I mean, I'm now old enough to go and get my bus pass. I can go and get one. I'm all giddy about it. Although maybe it'll double up as a photo ID, something like that.
See when it works, it's really good. But when it doesn't, and again, I've got on my soapbox on a regular basis on Chris's show, and he's probably thinking, oh God, here we go again. When it works, it's a brilliant system. But unfortunately, we've got politicians who poke their noses in and try and bring in competition between buses and trains, which is not how it should be. They should work together, not opposing each other. Like they do in mainland Europe, you go into Switzerland and they give you the trains and buses and all the connections, and it works. That's what we need. That's build your towns around the railway station, not like Warrington, for example, where you get off the station at the railway station and the bus station's a 4-mile walk. You think, well, couldn't you put the station a bit closer? Or put the bus station closer, is it?
Paul, when the Last of the Summer Wine Party overthrows this government and we take power, you're going to be in charge of public transport. I think that we've got to absolutely do it. I want lots of lovely flower boxes back on railway stations. I want them to be beautiful, like they used to be.
And get some trams back. That's what we need. Bloody trams. That's how you get that. People are afraid of using buses, but trams you can't go wrong with because they can't go off. Well, they can go offline, but that's usually because something's gone wrong. But
it sends out a signal of timeliness, does a tram. You go, well, there's nothing going to interfere with its progress as far as we know, so generally the timetable's going to be pretty accurate, so we can rely upon that.
Yes.
I remember travelling them as a very young lad, so out in Crossgates, we had the last tram line out of central Leeds, and it closed down about 1964 or 65. But I remember very young going on them with my mum and being it's like a sort of roller coaster ride when you're there. Wow, look at this thing on rails. You know what it's like with kids and stuff, or sitting on the top side of a bus. It's really exciting. It is. I loved it. I loved all that kind of stuff. It's just like you're getting introduced to the world, all this big stuff moving around with people on it, smoking and yelling at one another. It's great.
I'll tell you what, Paul, you've got to get. Have you ever done the Docklands Light Railway in London?
Paul, steady. I'm new to this. Be gentle with me. This is not. You're pushing me into this way too quick. I can't become that. I'll be getting sort of I'll be getting a combine of all the sort of train stock once a year. I used to get those things. Right, we all used to get. I couldn't wait until the new combine. If you don't know what we're talking about, this has really gone off the rails. This show. So, pun intended.
Ian Allen.
Yeah, and Ian Allen and the annual combine listed all the sort of rolling stock, all the different classes. Oh, look at this. I didn't know what I was doing. It's just that you had to have one because you had to underline all the numbers that you'd got. I go, look, I've got all these. I go, what does this mean? What are we doing? This is mad. Really mad.
I've got visions now of next Thursday's show saying cancelled due to train spotting.
Yeah. Do you want to come, Eric? Do you want to come on a train spotting run? Shall we go do it?
No.
Not giddy? You're not giddy with excitement? No? You can feel... Eric, you'll feel the breaking wind on your face as we go out there and all those sorts of things.
Yes.
It'll be great.
Well, this might soften it for you a bit, Chris. Most stations have cycle racks now, so whilst Paul's off photographing, spotting some trains, you can go spot some push bikes.
Yeah.
Now that sounds more interesting. Yes, but I can tell you a little story of when I was a little tot, and we went to Street with my mummy. And my mother was sitting opposite me on the train. I'm sort of, you imagine, you've got my little legs. I was only about, I don't know, I was a tot. And she was sitting there, and suddenly a wasp flew in, and it landed on her leg and started to crawl up her skirt, you see. And I'm sitting there thinking, there's a wasp crawling up my mummy's skirt. And suddenly my mum went, oh! bloody thing stung her right at the top of her thigh.
Eric, do all your childhood stories have a sort of slight element of soft smut in them? There's always something slightly carnal about your anecdotes. They're never sort of innocent. They're not sort of like Five going on an adventure. There's always like some sort of saucy aspect to it. You've seen somebody carry. It's just right, isn't it? That's the way you're built. Yeah, it's great.
But I know she went into the ladies' loo down at Liverpool Street, had to try to pull the sting out or something. No, I had to stand there all on my own. My mummy, I was just in the loo pulling a thing out of her.
You do that too well, that, you know. You do that little child thing a bit too well. I'm getting a bit worried here.
But with regards to the push bikes, do you ever think that, like Bristol Temple Mead Station, for example, there's a massive bike rack on one of the platforms, whichever one it is, and there must be thousands of bikes there. Do you ever think, do people get off the train and think, I put my bike here somewhere, but I don't know which one it is. People must never, ever claim the bikes back, because they must either A, forget where they put them, or B, what colour they were, because they're all going to be silver, or they're all going to be black, aren't they? Which one is it?
Don't know.
Well, you've got a good point there, but I'll tell you something, you might as well put a sign up, please Nick, because those places are that's a place where most bike thieves go. And I remember I used to leave my bike at Cheshunt Station to go down to London, and I had what I called a station wagon, and that is a bike that really nobody would want to nick. It's a collector's piece now, but it wasn't then. And one night I got off the train. Most of the big posh bikes have been nicked. Mine was the only one left.
We'll come back to the other side of that story now at the top, because we're at the top of the hour. I'm very close to it, actually. So we're going to play a couple of tracks, and we'll see where we go for that. Don't forget about your stolen bicycles. Very, very important. There's a couple of little tracks that I've just found from the mayhem of the last few days. I mean, I've got loads of them, but I'll just pick things out. We'll have a bit of Green Onions and then a little chat from Bill Hicks, and then we'll be back with you.
Green Onions. Very nice.
This is groovy. This is groovy, isn't it? I think this is groovy.
Boom, boom,
yeah.
Yep.
Except, of course, what I should do with Green Onions when I'm going to play it. Sorry, I've got lots of excuses, haven't I, this week? I really do. I've got a lot of excuses. Here we go. Let's play it again, shall we? Actually, for you, it's the first time. Here we go. Nope, still not working. Hang on.
No.
Sorry, this is because it's all been... Oh, I know why.
This is like listening to my nan trying to learn to use a remote control.
No, you know that thing called a volume control? Yeah, you know those things? I've just used it. Yeah, here we go. We'll be back after this now. Finally. Bloody hell.
Okay, thank you. I had this feeling, man, because there's a handful of people actually run everything. That's true. It's provable. It's not I'm not a conspiracy nut. It's provable. Handful, very small elite run and own these corporations, which include the mainstream media. I had this feeling who's ever elected president, like Clinton was, no matter what your promises you promise on the campaign trail, blah, 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 when you win, smoky room with the 12 industrialist, capitalist scumfucks who got you in there, and you're in this smoky room, and this little film screen comes down, and a big guy in a cigar, roll the film. Shot of a Kennedy assassination from an angle you've never seen before. It looks suspiciously off the grassy knoll. And then the screen goes up, and the lights come up, and they go to the new president. Any questions? Just what my agenda is. First we bomb Baghdad. You got it.
The great Bill Hicks there, talking about things, and of course Green Onions before that, which I do think is pretty good music for going train spotting. There was a great bit of music that they actually did to a film. Paul, you want to say something?
That was right jaunty. That was right bloody jaunty.
Jaunty?
It was groovy even.
It was groovy. It was very, very groovy.
Yeah. Speaking of Baghdad, you know how you break up a bingo game in Baghdad?
No, Paul. How do you break up a bingo game in Baghdad?
Call out B-52, B-52, incoming!
House! Boom, house gone! Yeah, fab. Our guest is not with us just yet. I've just sent him an urgent message saying, what are you doing, mucking about? He's probably got delayed, I don't know, haranguing a banker or something. But anyway, whatever, we'll see. He should be along at some point. Fingers crossed. What we were talking about at the end there. Actually, I was just going to say that first hour, you don't get many shows where you talk about Jesuits, the industrial development of South America, and train spotting. It's quite a good,
Every topic is covered, Paul.
This is a variety show for all the family, as long as you're slightly mad. Yeah, absolutely.
It helps, though, if you're not.
It does. It slightly helps if you're not. So anyway, what was so they're going to plunder $2 trillion out of the pension fund. That's nice of them. I did catch that in all my mayhem over the last day and a half. That's really fantastic. And also, I heard Malefica Scott last night saying that apparently over here they've passed the law to implement digital ID. Is this true? Has anybody heard of this piffle and nonsense and this madness that's all around us? Anybody heard anything about that?
No.
Nothing so far.
There's only Maleficus that's keeping up with things. Come on, get your finger out, lads. I mean, I just haven't had time. I don't know if anybody in chat's heard about this kind of stuff, but apparently, great. That'll be good. That's going to improve things. Phew. I'm really glad they're protecting us so much from something or other, although we don't know quite what it is. But yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Just say no.
Yeah. No, we won't be doing any of that.
Just say no. No, thank you. No.
It's not digital ID that we want. It's dig it all. I just dig it all, man. ID. That's what we want. And somebody put in chat. Now it's April the 23rd, isn't it? Today, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Is
all
that
day,
St. George?
pretty much.
Is it St. George's Day? English types.
Yes. I think
we've not even mentioned it, have we? Yeah, my brain's been obliterated today. I wouldn't have known what day it was if it was Hell Day, really, today. Oh, God, it's turned out to be a joyous heaven here at the end of proceedings. I was mentioning, actually, I had a lovely chat with Althea Finch earlier on today. She will have released it as a podcast. She does a couple of shows a week about health, gets a wide array of guests on. She's also doing a show, I think, on Sovereign TV, which is to do with the Sovereign Project. All these sort of these interconnections, I'm getting quite sort of stimulated by it. I just think it's pretty good. And one of the things I'm sure you've all thought about this, you've got a lot of people in this space discussing different things. And if you were to put them all in a room, I don't know whether it would actually turn out that well, to be quite honest. I think it could be a little problematic. You know what it's like, because most of the people in this space, thankfully, are independent thinkers or doing their best to be that. And when you get people like that who are quite willing to sort of do their own thinking, down their own furrow, you can sometimes get a little bit of sort of opposition and clashing on things. And I was mentioning that the whole idea of this sort of radio thing with FFT, this is just another obvious thing. We've got, hopefully, a growing crew of people in their own isolated little mini radio production centres, to give it a grandiose name, or radio pit is probably a better, more apt thing. Isolated in the sense that they can do their own thing, but not having to sort of hang around with everybody else. I actually think as a structure, it kind of appeals to me. I think it might have some solidity to it. And one of the things as well, Eric, when I was talking to Nathan earlier today, and I'd like to get him on this show at some point, we were just talking about groups, the size of them, this kind of thing, and really referencing what you've mentioned quite a few times, the idea of working in threes. And that 3 is a pretty good number, actually. I think there's probably all sorts of jolly good reasons, although I think you can get them up to 7. Anything beyond 7, you're going to have a problem. You probably have a problem beyond 7. Not that you're trying to get a problem, it's just that you've got too much variation in opinion about, what's to be done, what's important, this, that, and the other. I mean, there's loads to be done. It's just being in a little cluster group that's, getting certain things done, like getting train spotting back on the school curriculum and things like this. Very important things like that. But, yeah. Not really.
Well, Gary's just tagged a little email, a little message saying he's good evening. So I presume he's in the green room.
Oh, that's cool. He has. He's arrived. Yeah, fantastic. Mr. Glendale, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Oh, did you just refer to me as my maritime title there?
Yeah, I like to do that. It's just to get off to a nice, lively start. Yeah, Mr. Glendale.
Thinking I'm a dead maritime entity. How dare you?
Yeah, I know. Well, we're all dead maritime entities around here, I'll tell you. Yeah, no, fantastic. Anyway, it's ages since we last spoke. That was Monday, wasn't it? It was ages since we spoke. How have you been in the last 2.5 days or whatever?
Oh, non-stop, mate. Non-stop. There's always stuff going on. I was just listening to what you were saying there. Interesting you should come up with that, because a philosophical answer me and my business partner came up with a long time ago, when we were just simply asking how much is enough. As in sort of like how, when should you call it a day or whatever. And funnily enough, we actually came to the conclusion that just simply 7 or 8 was enough. 7 or 8 houses, 7 or 8 staff, 7 or 8 million, 7 or 800,000, just 7 or 8, whatever. Just 7 or 8 is enough. But yeah, I agree with you in what you said. 3s. 3 is a great number for people to work in. And going back to what you were saying about, how there's if you got everybody in a room at the moment, they probably wouldn't get on. That is the exact problem that we've currently got, because the cabal are all singing from the same hymn sheet. They are all in absolute lockstep about, how you invert, pervert, and subvert absolutely everything. How you prolong the torture, to extend the pain, which worships their God and all this kind of stuff. So and this is sort of what I'm trying to get across to people. People will unite due to economic incentive. That's our singularity. When an economic system comes along that people can use, everybody will jump on it, because there can only be one. Data can only be commoditized one way. There will only be one digital commodity. And the cabal are desperate to distract people away from it, which is why they've done what they've done. But they're moving things forward because they know it's a race against time. If we find out about it, and then once everybody's on, in tune on this sort of like same economic system, then it's a case of, right, well, what are we going to do to sort of regulate ourselves? Well, that's where we all have to get in lockstep with the Constitution. And the Constitution is based on 3 principles. If there's no victim, there's no crime. If there's no claimant, there's no claim. If there's no contract, there's no obligation. That's literally what our entire Constitution is the premise is built on. And then you've got obviously Bill of Rights, no fines or forfeitures without due process and conviction by a jury of peers. And if you act in honor, cause no harm, injury, or loss. Yeah, they've got nothing on you. And that's pretty much what everybody needs to know. So all this bullshit about an offense, that's the deception. They always use a deception. Oh, you've committed an offense. Well, who's making the claim against me? Who says it's anybody who says you've committed an offense, that is the deception. And they're very clever at it. It's a bit like using promissory notes. Oh yeah, it's a promissory note. You can't securitize a promissory note. You can't securitize a promise because a promise is not a contract. A promise can't be enforced. A promise therefore has no value, which means you can't securitize. I mean, they're genius the way they come up with this shit. But this is sort of like where we need to start singing from the same hymn sheet, from those principles. It's like there is one commodity, and if there's no victim, no crime, no claimant, no claim, no contract, no obligation. That's it.
Yeah. Well, as you were talking
kind of
just
like
then, I was just thinking about all these aspects, and I'm thinking that we need a big poster. I mean, we might not, but I was just, for some reason, I was starting thinking of about a very large image, like a map, like an old-fashioned map, with all these different sections of this issue laid out, sort of how England is going to become, the actual pathway, which is back, in many parts, back to the past, all the good stuff that our forefathers dug up and found out through trial and error and human experience, including all the things that you've just been mentioning. You know, you need a little section on it called trial by jury, like one of those lovely curious sort of cartoons that children would look at, because we're all you go, oh, this is interesting, what's that? Oh, this little arrow points down here. Oh, bank, what's this? Right, you know what they're doing now, what it's supposed to be, all that kind of stuff. I mean, Eric had a chap on Monday. We had this after your show on Monday. I went on to Eric's show. Eric, it was a technical. Yes. It was technical hell. It was unbelievably bad. And but there's a chap on called Nathan Allenby, and he's a very straight-talking, serious-minded guy, and I like him a lot for that. He brings a different type of energy and focus into things. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I like it. And I was talking to him earlier today about all this sort of stuff, about groups of three, these sorts of things. And he said to me, what's the ultimate aim then? What do you think is the ultimate aim? I said, it's to overthrow the bank. I said, until that banking thing that exists... until it's overthrown, we can't make a substantial change because it nibbles away at our guts all the time. It's got to be overthrown. And this means getting everybody into a sort of lively education information space to make it fun in lots of little chunks or whatever, and go, this is why it shouldn't be like this, and it should be like this, and this is how it used to be. And they did away with that to turn it into this. It just go, oh, right, because, you know, it's one of these I mean, most of the things we talk about here, I guess, are not part of people's common everyday chit-chat. And that's a big goal to achieve, where more and more people are having these conversations. By the way, I believe they are. In fact, I know they are. It's definitely happening. We just need to speed it up. We need a turbocharger for it to really get it rolling.
Well, this is where I think we need a political solution. So I've never ever heard a politician talking about the law. If we could get Rupert Lowe coming out with those three simple things, if there's no victim, there's no crime, and no claimant, no claim, no contract, no obligation. I mean, people would be like, holy shit, this guy's actually really onto something. That makes so much sense. I've never heard that before. And, you know, talking about collections of threes, the three things that obviously people need to know about the law is that, you know, that the highest document in the law is an affidavit of truth. That outranks absolutely everything, and that has to be rebutted. If it's not rebutted, it stands as fact. Then there's Halsbury's Law, which is the highest authority of law in England and Wales. You know, specifically where it says there's no authority for administrative courts in this country, and no act can be passed to legitimize them based on the constraints on the monarch's oath at their coronation. And the other one is a court de jure. There's we need to set there is nothing higher than a court de jure. So those three things: an affidavit of truth, Halsbury's Law, and a court de jure.
Yeah.
You know, just simple things like that. If we can get that message to Rupert Lowe and he can start telling the people. So if I actually heard a politician say that, I'd be like, that's fucking great. Right. Who is this guy? I'd vote for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He knows his shit.
Does it bring with it, though, if you've got a politician, I suppose that the risk is they can be paid off, as it were, or bribed to charter somebody else's requests, if that makes sense, or somebody else's agenda? Is that always a bit of a risk? I suppose do we need to be getting away from the political side of things altogether and just be free?
Well, I would say at the moment you've just got to deal with the task at hand. And like Rupert, you know, had millions of views on his promotional video for Restore Britain. And with Restore Britain, I mean, you could also have, Restore Health, Restore Insurance, Restore Finance, Restore Court de Jure. There's all these like little offshoots that you could make from Restore Britain, restore the Constitution.
Restore common law.
I mean,
Yep.
Restore common sense.
Yep.
You know, all that
Restore
kind,
the right
all that
to
kind of
bear
stuff.
arms.
Absolutely. Although kind of like, I think that might be a little bit dangerous at the moment. We'd have to get all these scumbags, you know, kind of like sent back to where they belong. But certainly, you know, things, for example, like I know there's something going on at the moment. The Geneva Convention on Human Rights, you know, says that, you know, the laws of the genocide is not permitted under the Geneva Convention.
Yep.
You know, and the reason that's important is because you then need to look at the apostasy laws in Islam. It's like, hold on a minute, apostasy, that's genocide, because generations of people have left that religion on their own free will. And you're saying they now all need to be put to death. Well, that is genocide, and that is not permitted in Europe. End of.
I know. It's just that it's toothless. But I think, you know, going back to what Paul mentioned, this thing about politics, I mean, I think it's a returning theme in several of these shows. Eric has it as a returning theme. It comes up quite regularly. But I'm looking at the pragmatics of where we actually are, or I try to, the best of I can. So the situation is that politics and political parties absolutely exist, that this hideous thing called a deranged government exists. You could say that they're all deranged. It's just getting worse and worse with each sort of progressive generation, which is inevitable under this sort of system. But if any, you know, then you say, well, if anybody's going to be in charge, we want our guys. Then the next question is, well, if we get our guys in charge, will they get corrupted and destroyed? Probably. So who's the safeguard of the guys in charge? It has to be the peasants.
Bitcoin is the safeguard, mate. Bitcoin is the safeguard. Get everybody using Bitcoin. You know, do you remember that sort of that little video I sent you the other day about how Bitcoin can be made to make politicians provably honest?
Yeah, I'm going to play it now. I'm going to play it. Here we go. I've got
fantastic.
it.
I think there will come a time where the separation between the honest politician and the dishonest one will come down to whether or not they support the use of Bitcoin for government function. Because it does provide that auditability and the anti-corruption tools that it can implement throughout government can make government become provably honest in a way that's never before possible. And a provably honest government is something we've never seen. It would be a wonderful
I would
thing.
question whether or not it's possible, but anyway.
With the cryptography, I would suggest that it is possible. Whether or
that
not
would imply though that people are always honest in the first place.
and then prove it, right? The ones that aren't can't. So that it may create that division between the people within government that become more electable because they can prove the degree to which they're honest versus those who are competing for their office.
I understand. Do you? This is it. I'm telling you, this is it.
So there we go.
That was a
Fantastic clip. Now, Gary, so let's just look at what that guy was just saying. Question. How does it make government provably honest? What's the unfolding of that? Why would, as a layman, the use of Bitcoin BSV, not Bitcoin BTC, how would the use of BSV as our money make governments provably honest? How would it do that?
Because at the moment everybody is just simply uploading. Everything is done digitally at the moment, but it's all done on private corporate servers that are not timestamped. Data can be corrupted, it can be lost, it can be deleted, whereas everything should be on the Bitcoin ledger, so there's a permanent record of it. That's the whole point. The whole point of the Bitcoin network is that for the first time ever, we now have a digital network that we can use where digital records can't be lost. So politicians should be using the Bitcoin ledger for everything, because one, digital information is too precious to lose, because why would you make any information if you actually want it to be lost? The only people who would actually make information that they wanted to be lost are criminals. Criminals are the only ones who want to erase what they're doing. Everybody else are like, well, why would I want to delete that? You know, I mean, you can still keep it private because you can either encrypt it, But the fact is, it's still permanent. Whereas everybody in government should be made to purposely use the Bitcoin ledger for absolutely everything. So all of their records can be verified on a public blockchain, a private common blockchain where the information can be verified, and therefore we can see what was said, who's gone on, what's done what. Yep, go for it.
So what you're talking about is every dollar accounted for, and everything they spent money on is out in the open.
Everything, but not just money. I'm talking about information, plans. Who said what, and when. What ideas people have got. We can see who's trying to subvert the Constitution. It's a digital record it's a digital ledger for everything. Emails, phone calls, videos, audio, any digital format can be uploaded onto the Bitcoin ledger where it can't be deleted. So the government should be using it for everything.
Interrupt there 1 second, Paul. We've got a little note from Patrick on the chat just saying that apparently there's a lot of echoing in YouTube, or on YouTube, I should say.
Really?
Sorry.
Is there?
Apparently so.
Is that the case? Okay. I don't know why. Let me just have a check. Sorry about that. Why would there be a lot of echoing? I don't know. Sorry about that. Carry on, everybody. I don't know why.
For once, it's not my fault.
I don't think so.
For once.
Well, we haven't any. If anybody's in YouTube right now and we've got echoing, or in Rumble and you've got an echo, can you just say there is echo or something? I'll just look out for that. Carry on. I've got nothing telling me that there should be echo here at all. No.
Strange, isn't it?
Sorry about that. Although, this has been set up at the last minute. You were just talking about losing data that you didn't want to lose. You probably missed the first hour of the show. My hard drive died yesterday morning at 7:30, Gary. It's an absolute miracle that this show's on. It's a bloody miracle, man. It really is. So if there's echoes and things, it's probably a side effect. But we've not had anything for the first hour and a bit. So... it was just the media that I played. Okay, it was the echo with the media. Okay, got it. I think I know what caused that now. Yeah, sorry about that. Understand. Carry on. Yeah, where were we? We were
40 people watching. 40 live people watching now. That's pretty great.
Well, we've got a bit more than that. We got 25 on Rumble, and we've got loads listening on the radio stations on FFT as well. So we just want to keep building it up. We want 45,000 in 6 months' time. If we can do it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hopefully all those people heard what I just said about how we need to use a digital ledger for everything.
Yeah, they
because
heard that.
use of this digital ledger means that like I said, information can't be lost and politicians can be held accountable. And remember, everything can be put up videos, which means we need to start putting cameras in these courts so we can see how these courts are behaving. Because if it's not a court of public record, then it's an administration court. And an administration court has got no authority whatsoever. So everything needs to be a court of public record. But they don't want that because we know that their courts only deal with maritime legal fictions, which is complete and utter BS, using maritime titles. So, suddenly all of these supposed judges in their morning gowns, well, they need to be filmed doing what they're doing, which is high treason against the people, subversion of the justice system, all this kind of stuff. And then they can't deny it because the data cannot be deleted. And guess what? Also, the truth always comes first because a lie is a derivative of the truth. So therefore, if the truth cannot be inverted, subverted, or perverted, then they cannot do what they have been doing for the last 1,000 years, which is lying through their effing teeth at us.
They have been doing a bit of that, haven't they? I've noticed that. Even a casual glance at history will sort of show you that that's quite clear. So we were just saying earlier that apparently they've passed a law now that we're going to have digital ID. But this, looking at this is a transactional ID. Every single thing that people do applies to everyone, not in terms of who you are, but in terms of what you do. And I'm cool with it. Because people say, why should I've got nothing to hide. You do from these bar stewards. You do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they abuse powers that they've acquired for themselves, which are unlawful. but are held together by public agreement and by sort of bullying in the media and perceptions and the general sort of unquestioning nature of things that we've had to endure for the last few decades, well, centuries really. But this is changing. And so the idea that, I've said this before, that bank accounts, right? All bank accounts should be public. I don't mind people seeing how poor I am or how wealthy I am. Why would I bother? In other words, every single politician, I want to know what they've got in their account. I want to see it in real time. We've got the information technology to do it now. Why? They're public servants. What have they got to hide? What have you got to hide? Exactly. The public want to know. You want to know about us? Cool. Well, we want to know everything about you too. What works? What's good for the goose? Good for the gander. Let's get it on. Come on. Oh,
that's right. I agree with that. Yeah.
I couldn't care less. And then this envy about how wealthy people are would start to disappear. Hey, that guy's got 500 million quid in his account. So what? Are you happy? Yeah, great. Well, let's focus on that then. But if he starts spending it in a reckless and damaging and criminal way, you're going to see it with this. Hey, wow, bang, straight down on him, and there's no way of hiding it. It takes several of these conversations, Gary, for these blockchain pennies to drop, pun intended. It does. There's a lot to it because it's subverting the subversion. That's what it's doing. It's sort of rewriting it back. It's saying it's all flipped upside down, and that's what it can do. Tremendous.
Yeah, and not only can it do that, it can also take us from an economically toxic economy or an economically toxic financial environment that they control, and we suffer the effects of their inflation. So they benefit at our expense because they're printing this shit and putting it in their own pockets. Suddenly, it's just like, actually, you cannot print any more of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And nobody's going to be accepting their toxic, promissory notes after a while because they realize that they're just simply promissory notes and they're just simply plastic that they print from nothing. When people eventually realize what an asset is that we're actually meant to be using, so money is an asset that's valuable, that's actually meant to appreciate in value and not decline. Well, yeah, exactly. Because it's meant to be fixed in supply so that nobody can fundamentally manipulate the value of it by either inflating it or deflating it. It needs to be a level playing field.
I was thinking about what you were saying there as well. Would have also shone through during 2020 with the arms spears, that if all the bank accounts were viewable by the public, we'd be able to see which politicians were taking bribes for things like PPE and all the other things that were going on. That's good. Yeah,
absolutely.
We like this. This we like. Yeah. We like, and that's a different sort of sales point to a different type of personality. The people that are outraged by the privacy on the other side. Not everybody's motivated in this space by the same sorts of things. Overall, you put all those motivations together and they are going in the same direction. But everybody's got their own particular peccadillos or area of interest, and they're all valuable, they're all needed, because everywhere you look, things are bent out of whack.
I'll tell you.
Even you think about juries and stuff, like jury rigging would become very difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the police where they take bribes to, like with the arm spear thing again, where they've been told not to take if anybody steps into a police station and says, I've witnessed somebody being killed as a result of the arm spears, we can't take that. We'd be able to see, because they're deemed as public servants as well, we'd be able to see what they're up to and all. So that'd get rid of corruption out of the police force as well.
Yeah, it would.
It gets rid of corruption. It gets rid of corruption in the NHS. It gets rid of corruption in the military. It gets rid of corruption in the politics. It gets rid of corruption in schools. Seeing whether they're are grooming our children and all this kind of stuff. It literally solves everything. It makes people be honest. Yep. Because their actions are going to be recorded permanently.
Well, in a way as well, it removes this concept of emotional trust, about trusting people to do stuff. In a way, you don't need to. You just go, there's the contract. You either fulfilled it or you didn't. It's not about trust. It's just, people that are not performing in their contracts will endure the consequences. Like, just naturally, there's no sort of wriggle room, and you reduce the whole idea of the socially paying out state, which of course is this great scam that the government needs this money to help all the poor people. Well, there'll be less and less poor people with this. Because they have to create a poor underclass to become their champion. I mean, there's
Absolutely.
a lot of this, oh, look, you've got all these poor people. You need a government to help sort them out. It's all an evolution of a protection racket. Every single thing is a protection racket. I mean, even this thing, the digital IDs, is that. What are they sort of playing on? Oh, you need to be sure of everybody else's identity. I never used to be. I didn't care. It's not that important to me, frankly. It's just where, I hang around with a small cluster of people in my life. Most of us do. I don't know what the number is, but, you'll have a lot of people come through your life, particularly when you start moving around after you leave your teenage years, all that kind of stuff. That goes on. People come in and out of your life like going through doors, and it's kind of shocking at first. You go, oh, I don't see them anymore. But after a while, you go, well, it's like this. And you don't need bucket loads of people. You just need the right ones around you, and you thrive. You just need a little group. 3. You need to be a little team of 3 and maybe part of a super group of 7. 2 3s and a 1. You go, we can just about cope with 7. Anyway, we're tipping over this. It's all going a bit mayhem. I don't like it, right? So you've got all these little street groups with 7 people in, and we've got thousands, tens of thousands of them. That's what, hundreds of thousands of them. That's what you need. All, using this to transact, to basically fulfill agreements, formal agreements, contracts between 2 or more parties to do or not do the thing that you've decided upon, laid down in the contract, which is now digitally time-stamped, provable, trackable, and could be brought up in a court of law if somebody starts arsing about. And who arses about the most? The government do. There's no two ways about it.
And all this stuff about Quango's wasting all of this money and how projects take years, to come to fruition. We'll be able to see it all. We'll be like, who decided what, and who made what decision when, how long it took to implement, how things ran over in costs and time. We'll be able to see absolutely everything. So all of the shenanigans that is currently going on in the government, it's all going to stop. All of it.
They're not going to like that, Gary, are they? They won't like that, will they? That's going to be rather distasteful to them.
So they can lump it.
But the peasants wouldn't understand what we do even if we told them.
Yeah,
we
all the good things that we do.
What they need than they.
But
they do, don't they?
There's a big but in this.
Get your big butt in there, Eric. What is it?
I'm going to get you my big butt. And every government has to be usury friendly, and all of them are financed by the unmentionable people. So that and let's face it, it was the usury scammers that devised democracy to give people the impression that they get freedom of choice. All it is like a prisoner choosing what coloured door he wants on his cell. That's all it is. That's all voting is. So why not do away with government? Why do we need government in the first place?
Well, I think maybe that's part of the process. You don't know where we'd get to. I think it's kind of first things first. If we've got these principles in front of us and you go, look, here is a tool that is actually unshakable. You can't muck about with it. No one can. It's impossible to muck about with it. It's been designed that way. Everybody is now equally accountable for their behaviour. Let's see what happens after 3 to 5 years of using it. Suddenly, people might go, there'll be a load of things that government currently present themselves as being required to fulfill, and you'll find you go, hey, we don't need them for this. We don't need, and it'll slowly go away. That might be the best way to do it. Because, I mean, I don't know, but it's like a gradual process of the decline of government down to nothingness, as opposed to having a war with it, which we can't do because they're armed to the teeth and they're looking for any excuse to act like that. And we don't act like that, nor do we want to. It's not in us.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that with the public service as well. So things like your gas, your electricity, your railways, but they all come under it as well. And then you can see, like HS2, for example, you can see then clearly who's getting all the money for this, that, and the other, and why it's being why they're overspending on certain bits. And I have to say, I think this is brilliant.
Excellent.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can hear your cogs turning as I'm listening to you.
And people, so energy bills, for example, I know we shouldn't really pay them, but we do. But if everybody knew that they were just paying like 3% more, make a little tiny bit of profit, that's it. But you can see then exactly how much you're paying, and there's no tweaking around it. Oh well, we're gonna have to put it by 50%. Well, why is that then? It'll be transparent, which is what
it would absolutely. It would signal the complete end of the backhander.
It would.
And
it'd be over. It'd be absolutely over. All those, I've said here, we've got 1,400 million quid spent on some turbines out in the sea that have wrecked the view of the sea, that produce enough electricity to recharge a battery every 3 months or something like that. And I'm going 1,400 million quid. And I'm just thinking 400 million of that must have been in backhanders. I mean, it's just a joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I can't prove it, but with this, you could prove anything. Couldn't you? You could.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything will run on it, because all it does is it costs you a micropayment. And one of the reasons people will use it is because they know that they're using a ledger where all the information remains private. Whereas, because everybody's, particularly in this day and age, you write a post on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, and you get scumbags like coming around knocking on your door because they've got the details about you. And then if you say anything that's politically sensitive and get what they don't like, they'll wipe your profile and all of your family photos. It's outrageous. Whereas, like, if you're using the Bitcoin ledger for absolutely everything, all of your digital requirements, they cannot delete it, and it's totally private. And you can share it or just, keep it private. You can do whatever you want with it. But the fact is, it's your data. And that's why your digital ID, as it were, is fine so long as it's on a commoditized network, because you own and control that data. You can choose to share it with whoever you want. It's literally like having your physical passport in your hand, except you've got it digitally on your phone and you show them the ID on your phone. And they don't have any access to it. None.
No.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, Paul.
I don't have a problem with government being in control as long as government is controlled and not doing the controlling. I mean, anarchy is not an option at this point, because we've got a century or more of dumbing down and nanny state management of the younger populations.
Yep.
They're not in any kind of a mind frame to be self-reliant and to govern themselves. They just can't do it. They haven't been trained to do that. So we need to take control of government. Let government control the things while we're controlling the education of the generations that are coming up, so they can step in and self-govern. It's going to take work, and it's going to take dedication.
And of course, the government needs to remember that they work for us and not the other way around. They're our servants,
right,
not the other way around. I think that's the bit that pretty much every public body forgets. The councils who employ people who are completely lacking any sort of empathy when you go and speak to them, and your police officers who kick the shit out of people for no reason, break the law themselves, and then tell you that you've broken the law.
Well,
I've got a question for you, Gary.
Just by breathing.
Yeah, I got a question, Gary. So the transactions being, how does the transactions being private, right, not anonymous but private, how does that square away with being able to interrogate, for want of a better word, the blockchain for these transactions? I mean, if someone wants to interrogate them over certain things, would it be a case that someone has to file charges to conduct an inquiry into parts of the blockchain to establish the truth of some particular scenario that they're unhappy with? How do you think that would work?
So you wouldn't have to do that at all, because it's a public ledger. So all it is it's a public ledger. You can see everything on it, but the only thing you can see on it is a legacy wallet address. And so you just simply have to find out who that legacy address belongs to. Who is it that's controlling it? And if they're public servants, they'll have to disclose it. And then also, if they're public servants, well, they need to be paid. So therefore, where did the transaction come from to start with? Who did it go to? Somebody has to orchestrate it. The collection of revenue getting sent to the politicians. There you go. So if you wanted to trace it, you could find it, because everything has to be open and transparent, in the public. But you would ask, you'd be like, right, so this wallet went there. Who is it that's in control of these wallets?
How would we establish? Do you know how we would establish? I mean, how would you go about and establish that? I'm just thinking of scenarios where certain operators will say, let's create 50,000 wallets, and we'll move them around, and they'll create a delay. Like the control of the process of inquiry is a big weapon that they've got. It's the same with the courts. Oh, well, we'll appoint the jurors. It's the management of the space is where the first sort of barrier of corruption comes in. You can sort of feel it. Oh, you're not suitable. You are. Someone is deciding. Some currently appointed human authority decides on those things.
But if they're not managing it efficiently, well, they're going to get replaced by somebody who can manage them efficiently. That leaves a transparent, auditable trail. Yeah, because that's what people want.
I mean, I guess it would be a sort of process of gradualism. Is that it starts off, it grows, and slowly but surely, the spivery that's taking place within society would get identified and slowly but surely expunged from the system. It would become harder and harder as it matures, I think, for that kind of behavior to give anybody any benefit. It would be just like all sorts of other things. You go, yeah, we used to be able to rig horse races, but we can't now because they put cameras everywhere. We can't dope the horses up and all this and that because it's, a lot of horse racing is of course rigged.
That is what you've described there is exactly what will happen. Right. But the people leading the charge to make sure that happens has to be us. And we will do it. We will do that because we have the economic power to do so because we got in there first. If you're buying a handful of Bitcoin at like £10, what it is now, and it goes up to hundreds of millions of dollars, yeah, you can fund political campaigns. Yeah, you can make sure that because not only can you fund political campaigns, you can also start your own media company. You can literally start broadcasting on the Bitcoin network with your own news channel. Oh, what politicians have done this? Highlighting the problems, keep people informed. Expose those who are doing wrong. All of this kind of thing. And this is why I keep saying people will unite due to economic incentive. They will vote with their feet, and even those people who are wealthy, they can only be wealthy in a system where the laws are upheld. Because if you're in an unlawful economy, then you're not going to be rich for long, because somebody will come along and steal all of your assets off you. Mm-hmm. So even rich people have an incentive to make sure that they're living in an honest, law-abiding society.
Yeah,
and this is what Bitcoin does. In fact, it's these. Bitcoin is the only system that can do all of this. This is why everything's so fucking corrupt at the moment.
That would screw a lot of celebrities up, wouldn't it? Who've got offshore accounts and so on.
Well, the thing is, I mean, they've got. Well, the thing is, though, the reason they've got offshore accounts is because, again, they're trying to keep themselves private. But what you need to remember is that tax is voluntary. All tax is voluntary. No one in the history of our land has ever been done for not paying tax when they've not signed a tax return, because tax is voluntary, because the government are public servants. And also, fiat currency is complete and utter fraud. So therefore, that null and vitiates everything anyway, because the government can just simply go to the bank and say, "Oh, just print us a few more promissory notes, can you?" Mm-hmm. Yeah, and plus the fact they're pilfering from all of our Castro KV trusts. So really, everything should be paid for via our Castro KV trust, but they're just simply not following the law because they're a bunch of criminals. So even these celebrities that have just got their offshore bank accounts and all that kind of stuff, they're just trying to keep themselves private, trying to stop the criminal government from pilfering their own personal wealth. And bearing in mind the government can just simply print as much currency as they want from nothing anyway. So they've got no need to want to tax us anyway. It's all a deception. Everything is a deception. It's all bollocks right now. And Bitcoin is the only thing that can sort it out.
Do you think there's a scenario where the bad guys, the unmentionables, and their cohorts could acquire huge quantities of BSV, maybe they've acquired it now, to basically choke the development of its transactional power? And if they did, does that nullify some of the points that you're making? I'm just thinking. I mean, it's not a judgment. It's just a thought.
Good question. I can explain it. So,
no, that's great. Well, I'm glad. That's good. It's just this is generally what they do. Someone will corner the market, as it were, on BSV. They go, well, our little group over here, all our central banking pals, we've got 10 million of these BSV Bitcoin things, and so whenever we want, we can just dump them or bugger the whole thing up. But yeah,
Yeah, but they can only do even then they can only do that once. Yeah, they can only sell their stash once. They can't get it back. And if there is utility demand for it, if they crash the price, well, people are going to be all over it because people are buying it all the time anyway. All the small to medium-sized businesses are going to be buying it to upload their data onto the blockchain because storing it on the BSV blockchain is cheaper than using Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Cloud. Plus the fact it's fixed in supply. So, and also these tiny hats, they can only purchase what is available for sale. That's it. You can't purchase what isn't available. Well, it's just simply not there. And if they do try and buy it all, well, the price is just going to go through the roof. And then you're going to get price discovery kicking in, FOMO kicking in, and everyone else is going to go, oh my God, why is the number going up? What can I use it for? And then people are going to, oh, so we can use it for this, we can use it for that, we can use it for voting. Oh, so that means we can now have elections that we can trust that can't be rigged. That means we can now have a financial system that can be track and traced and the government can't pill for us. Now we can start tracking the judges' decisions to make sure they're not being unconstitutional and committing high treason. This is great. That is the last thing that they want.
Yep. Nice. So the nature of this network, the technical network, the hardware, the protocol that drives it all, that's really where the long-term value is. The transaction of value in the form of BSV, purchasing power, money backed by data as a commodity. Because of its structure in such a way, that's the long-term value. It's such an asset in terms of its incredibly low cost to move stuff around that left or unleashed, it will become gradually, maybe turbocharged under certain moments, the preferred and ultimately the only way to basically transact value between individuals and organizations. Is that sort of part of the thinking?
Well, absolutely. So you've got Bitcoin, which is just a bit of NFT data, but that NFT data is used to pay for the uploads of your data. And like you said, the cost of uploading data is so minuscule compared to the cost that we've got at the moment. Your Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Cloud, or your own server network, which costs huge sums to maintain and secure from cybersecurity acts and virus software and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The cost of moving and sharing digital data around on the BSV network is so efficient and so low that it becomes valuable because people are just like, well, I will use Bitcoin because it saves me millions, if not billions of dollars on data efficiencies. And because that's valuable to me, the actual token has value. It can therefore also be used as a medium of exchange.
Yep.
So it just means that you can broadcast everything, like digital magazines, like TV shows, radio stations, everything can be done on the Bitcoin network for the cost of a micropayment. Which means that you own and control your own digital content that you've created. And also, if you can choose to put your name out there if you want to, but if you want to use a pseudonym, you can also do that. But even the pseudonym can be held accountable for what they're saying because everything gets uploaded onto a timestamp server. So people will be able to know if that pseudonym's talking bollocks or not. And whether or not they should listen to it. So it gives every bit of information credibility.
Yep.
You have data integrity is what it generates.
Would it be possible though to
bit quiet, Eric?
Where how's that? Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah. Would it be possible? Sorry about this. This bloody computer. Would it be possible to do a show to show? I mean, my attitude with money is unless it's dosh in your hand, you haven't got it. Now, I've got to change that way of thinking, and I find that Bitcoin needs some just fundamental things. And it says, you often said, go onto this website, that was fine. Would it be possible to just take a person through the stages and possibly buy some of this cash online whilst broadcasting? Someone that doesn't know anything about it at all. Because to me, Bitcoin is sort of
black magic.
I don't know.
It's bloody black magic.
Yes,
that's what it is. Yeah, it is.
So and I'm interested in it, and there's lots of people interested. But what puts me off is ignorance of it. I'm very ignorant of it. I don't understand it. So that's and that's the thing. It goes into a lot of sort of how can I explain it? A lot of areas that you think, well, hang on, I can't get my head around this, and it's probably very straightforward and simple.
Well,
that's all I'm getting.
It is, Eric.
So,
and like riding a bike, the more you just hang around in the space, acquiring the knowledge, the easier it gets. It just, and it isn't rocket science, really. It's just, I think, some of the sort of processes for acquiring it, the know your customer stuff and all that, are kind of they just are generally, and they've, according to Gary, I think you mentioned it before, Gary, when you were on, that they've gone out of their way to make that process to overcomplicate as much as they can to keep people away from it. But it's not impossible to do it. I mean, I found personally the easiest way. I happened to have some Bitcoin that someone had sent me, and I moved it to a wallet called Exodus about 3 weeks ago. And inside there, I just swapped it. Exodus doesn't know anything about me. I didn't have to fill any forms in. I just opened a wallet up. It gave me my 12 words, which basically are my wealth or my spending power, are those 12 words. I lose those, I lose my spending power. It's as simple as that. So it's about individual responsibility. But I just moved it in. Now, there is Bitcoin floating around probably more than anything else, I suppose, because it's brought in all the pyramid people. It's just basically a big Ponzi scheme. Cool. If that Ponzi scheme starts to move over to BSV, though, this is good. This is a good thing. So that would be a way of getting it. Also, I think that haven't the British government said you can't buy cryptocurrency or something like that?
Yep.
Haven't they sort of literally, you can't buy it. We're not letting you buy it because we want our CBDC. You're going to buy it from us. We're going to force you to go to us as the only supplier. That's really what they're looking to do, isn't it?
Yeah, that was on the 19th of February 2024.
Right.
They issued a carte blanche ban on anybody in the UK, and it's the only financial regulator in the entire world that has banned, their so-called residents in their jurisdiction from buying Bitcoin or crypto. And the reason I haven't done a show or walked people through how to purchase it on a show is because every single on-ramp that I've ever demonstrated in the past has been shut down within weeks, literally within weeks of me demonstrating it. So they're following everything I do. So there's no. So this is why the information has to be networked out privately.
So when you say, so what, you're talking about presentations, what, face to face to rooms of people, showing them how to get involved and to literally acquire it?
No, just online. If I put a video out, for example, saying, look, this is how you do it, they've that particular on-ramp has literally been closed down within weeks.
So from my reverse thinking, that's a good sign.
Well, it goes to show that they are concerned,
Absolutely.
really concerned.
Yeah,
which is always a big giveaway for people.
Well,
like that.
I mean, they make us not sleep at night. Isn't it time that we sort of paid them back in kind? I think it's important that they should start to have sleepless nights if they're given so many to so many millions of people for decades by mucking about with everything, that really it's time for payback. It was good enough for you to send it our way. We're just handing it back. So
while we're on, this is probably quite a good opportunity to ask Eric. Eric, if you've got any questions, what is it that you don't quite get about Bitcoin? What's the most basic question that you've got? I'll try and answer it for you.
I think it's not really a basic question. It's taking a person like myself from stage one saying, right, I want to buy some of these Bitcoins, please. I want to buy, I don't know, 20 quid's worth or 30 quid's worth. And then so for the audience to hear and say, oh, this is what we do. We go there, and we go there, and we can do this, we do that. Just the basics of it, and that's the main question.
Basically, sort of following the process from start to the point of actually having some Bitcoins that you've just purchased.
Yeah, it's a bit like telling a person to drive. And if you told someone, well, you get in the car, then you do this, you press this button, you do this, it sounds incredibly complicated. But I drive, and most people drive. You don't even think about it. You get into the car and you drive. And this is the same, I think, with Bitcoin. Once you're doing it, it's fine, but it's those easy stages that are not really explained. And I looked onto, sorry, Paul, but looked on that site that you suggested, and quite honestly, I got lost after a while. But with a little bit more backing and a little bit more help, this is why I think on a live show, you know, I don't mind it. I could buy some of this crypto coinage with your help. So, right, okay, we're pushing this button here, we're doing this, and we're saying this, we're doing that. We need to just take a person through. I mean, can you buy £30 worth of it? Or, I mean, can you buy any quantity? So,
any quantity you like.
So this is the thing. That's what I'd like to do. And if that's possible to do it live on a show, it'd be fantastic.
We should set one up. When do you think a good time to do that would be? Say a Saturday afternoon or something? Like a special one-off show or something? I don't know. Bitcoin for blokes and blokesses. I don't know. Something like it would be good.
I try and do a special the end of last Friday of every month. Something like that. Or Friday. I don't know. When do you think, Paul, would be the best idea for everybody?
I think we could talk about after the show. I think we could definitely get something sorted out. I can always have a word with Gary and find out when he's available. And maybe, Gary, bring some people in from the BSV group over on Signal and stuff like that, you know, to sort of pitch in and look at these. I mean, it might be sort of too basic for them because I know many of them are up and running. But for beginners, like, how do you actually just get involved? And I think once you're used to anything, you forget what it was like when you didn't know anything about it. It's just completely normal.
Precisely.
Any field.
You've solved it up in one.
Speaking of after the show, aren't we off of WBN in about 20 seconds?
We are. Bye, WBN. Good grief. In fact, they might have kicked us off already. Good grief. We're chatting so much, I always forget all that. Well, I think I've got forgiveness this week because I've got no WBN jingles or anything because they all died as well in the great hard drive disaster of 2026. But yeah, we're at the top of the hour. Look, I'm going to play a song. We'll be back after this. Are you staying around for hour 3, Gary? You around for a bit longer?
Could do, yeah, sure.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you can go whenever you like, so don't feel forced to it, but it'd be great to have you a bit more. Edwin Collins, The Magic Piper of Love. Do you remember this? I quite like this. It's a bit fey, but there's a great guitar bit in the middle. I just thought I'd let you all know. Oh, hang on just a minute. I just did something echoing. No, it'll be fine. Here we go. It should be. Be back after this, everyone. We'll see you all next week on WBN, even though we've probably lost you already, but I'm just doing it out of politeness. Straight back after this.
Sober, no rolling in the clover, no Gretna Green to Dover, no honeymoon in Paris. I only feel embarrassed for the cool cats, the charming kittens, both smitten by the love songs that he's written, caught in the sights of a deadly sniper, the magic piper of love, the magic piper of love. Of love, of love. My girlfriend, she got blood, I've caught in Santa's grotto. It turns out he's a dirty old man. The last place that I'd want to be is sat upon his Christmas tree, or playing his games of catch as catch can. 'Cause he's a sweet talker, a silent stalker, all the savvy of a streetwalker, more deadly than a horned viper, the magic piper of love, the magic piper of love, of love, of love.
Do. I like the old Twangalux guitar in there. There isn't a Twangalux guitar, by the way, but when I used to play music, me and my mate Andy, who did play the guitar, we were always coming up with good names for amplifiers and guitars, and I always thought the Twangalux was a great name. Nobody ever made a guitar called the Twangalux, but it's just so cheesy and glittery that you just want one, right? It's sort of something at a roustabouts would play at Carney's would have. I've got my special Twangalux guitar. So yeah, that was Edwin Collins, who I think had a serious brain injury at some point. He had a massive heart attack or something. He was a very young guy. But I think he's okay now. Suffered a lot. A polite, rather gentle little pop song, but I like the Twangalux guitar. Yeah.
But you sound like a man that likes twangers. You definitely do.
Oh, yeah, I like a twanger.
Yeah, you like
what is a twanger?
Don't you?
I'm not Googling that.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, what is a twanger, Eric? What is that? Is it? Did you say something vulgar? I would expect so.
Well, let's put it this way. It is a Cockney term for
is it?
Suspenders that ladies wear and strange gentlemen, such as Keir Starmer wear, you know. It's
twangers.
You can just imagine old Keir Starmer with his twangers on, can't you?
I didn't want to know.
No, it wasn't pretty thought.
I just knew it.
No, it's good stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, look, maybe it all start. I think, Eric, just going back to where we were talking, before the music. It's about getting a wallet set up. I think the whole thing is thinking about wallets. That's the key thing. You don't even have to have anything in it to start off with. Someone's just been saying in the chat that maybe it's a risk or whatever. No, it's not. Buy one. They're only about 14 quid. Just get one.
Less than that. It's like 10 quid.
Is it 10 quid? So there you go. And I know, there's this thing that we're all going to think about. It's got to go up. Well, it will go up. But that's not, I got to tell you, it's not actually the reason why I'm in it. Although, I'm not going to say, well, I couldn't refuse it. Oh, it's actually worth an awful lot more now. Oh, well, that's kind of useful, or could be. But it's this whole idea that it can be used by every peasant everywhere. And has got this traceability and this accountability built into it, is extremely attractive as an idea.
Yeah, well, check this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so I've literally just done a show that I've broadcast.
Yeah.
And on it, so Bitcoin Magazine posted a recording that one of the U.S. military generals was having with one of the congressmen, and the military general was very careful not to mention any of the ticker symbols like BTC or BCH or BSV or anything. He just said, we're using the Bitcoin protocol. Now, the BTC has only got like a 1 megabyte block cap. They can only do like 7 transactions a second. They can't do jack shit on their network, which is why they say not many use it, store of value, digital gold, blah, 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 blah. But this guy was saying, actually, we are running a node, but he said, we're not mining Bitcoin. We're running a node monitoring all of our own digital systems. And I was like, holy shit, I know what that is. That's Sentinel node. So what Sentinel node does is it takes a snapshot of every single digital system, that any organization or the military has got, because prior to this Sentinel node being developed to monitor systems, you would only ever know that something was happening in your system when it was too late. So when a hacker had already got into your system and stolen the information that they've got, you're having to deal with the consequences. And the only reason you know it's happened is because the consequences have already arrived and you've got to deal with them. Whereas what this Sentinel node can do, it can take a snapshot of your entire digital system every 10 seconds. And it puts it all on chain, so you can see immediately where there are any changes occurring, where a hacker is trying to get in, where a code has been changed, where a key has been subverted, absolutely everything. So I was just like, holy shit! I think the US military are actually using the BSV Sentinel node to monitor and safeguard all their own digital equipment and systems. That's what I think, because that's what it's for. And BSV is the only one that can do that. And the BSV is the Bitcoin protocol. And he was very careful to say, we're using the Bitcoin protocol. We're running a Bitcoin node to monitor all of our own systems. And I was just like, holy shit. This could be massive, and the senator had no idea. He kept trying to revert what the general was saying back to financial security. Oh, China's got this many bitcoins, and for our own financial security, do you think we should get some? And the general kept stating, "Look, we're not in this for financial security. We are just simply using the technology to safeguard our own systems on the blockchain, and we're using the Bitcoin protocol for it." Mm-hmm. And, all the other BTCs, they were going, "Oh, this is amazing. This is fantastic. The military's using BTC, blah, 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 blah." And I was just like, "No, they're not, mate. No, they're not. BTC can't do that. No way. But the Bitcoin protocol can." And that's what the general's just been saying. So it's massive. I mean, think of all these massive, all the huge data breaches that these companies have suffered. All the banks should be using it. All the tech companies should be using it. Amazon should be using it, because they can't afford to lose any of their customers' records. The financial industry should be using it. All the insurance companies should be using it. Everything. It's just simply a permanent record of digital data. That's all it is. So you can use it for everything, including, like I said, monitoring your system, so you can see when somebody's trying to hack into your system before they've done it. And before Bitcoin, there was no way of doing this, whereas you can now.
So I was just thinking about that as well. That with what the Boiler Hat Farmer's been doing with the farmers around the country as well, that I suppose one way of getting the government off their backs would be to start trading with the public, but using Bitcoin as our way of slowly moving our way away from that and into perhaps our own world, if that makes sense. Do you know what I'm getting at with that?
Absolutely. Because what Bitcoin does is it takes us out from under their control into the private and out from their central banking system. So it basically means that the economy is now going to run as it should be, and the government become public servants, which is what they are, because we're using a true money that cannot be inflated. The supply is fixed. So literally, it's almost like 21 million units of freedom stock. And the reason they've artificially suppressed the price is because that's the only thing they can do to it. Because they don't want people using it. So they're just like, well, if we can just suppress the price for that long and people won't be interested, hopefully we'll be able to install a totalitarian one world government, and just ban it. But that's why they're speeding things up. And they can only buy what is available for sale, and the supply is fixed. And I think there's only about 300,000 coins available. I think it's like $7 million. Mm-hmm. At the moment, literally. So literally you get a billionaire comes in, buys $7 million worth of BSV, and suddenly the supply, available for sale is minuscule. And then the price just rockets after that. So they literally cannot touch it. So, which is why I'm trying to encourage all the truthers to get in on this, so that we will then have the economic power to fight back.
So the Eli and Robin you can't stick their can't put their grubby little fingers into your account.
Absolutely, absolutely not. They cannot touch it. They don't even know it's yours, and they can't prove it's yours either. They would have to ask. Literally, so this is where it effectively creates a private association of users. So if there was criminal activity taking place on the network, like child trafficking, gun running, drug dealing, whatever, then those detectives would have to appeal to your sense of morals and say, look, there is an activity taking place on the network that we believe is to do with child trafficking, because there was a transaction that took place at this time, when we believe this child was trafficked. Will you help us? Can you tell us who you sent that transaction to? Because 1,000 transfers down the line is where this wallet address is. We need to know who's behind it. But if they say to you, oh, well, we're trying to track this transaction because we believe that somebody bought a packet of organic frozen peas and that's not allowed anymore, you just tell them to do one. No, I'm not telling you that. Fools. There's nothing wrong with buying a packet of frozen peas, particularly if they're organic. So this is what it does. It creates a private association of users that the government literally have to ask permission for, and we can decide whether we give them permission or not.
Well, I think what Chris was saying earlier on, I suppose I'm in the same boat as Chris in that I would like us like a dummies guide, if that makes sense. So step 1. Press this. Step 2, press this. Just something to follow.
That's
so you've
it.
got got a. When I work, I like to I like to do things. I like to be able to go at my own pace and just work it out how to do it. Well, that
Same
makes
here.
sense.
Spot on. And I'll tell you something else. I'd like to get a businessman on as well to ask who doesn't know anything about it. That would be a good idea if he got a businessman on.
We need a farmer on,
because
Eric. We need farmers that are not yet using it. I'll speak to Mark. We ought to get one on. In fact, I don't know if Mark's using it yet. I think he must be. He's got a few connections. There's also the effing farmer that we did a show with. There you go. That one's for you, especially, Eric. I think. But, I've mentioned before, you can actually buy online from him when he's got it, beef in BSV. Beef SV.
Yeah, beef and eggs.
Yeah.
Beef, eggs, straw, hay.
Yeah.
All of it.
It's simply monkey see, monkey do. It's just that monkeys can't see much at the moment. We've got to make them see more, as it were, so that they can just do it. You do this, you do that, you've got a wallet. That's the first thing. Have I got a wallet? Yeah, these are the best wallets to have. You need a few. Can I have more? Yes, you can have more than one. Right. So that's the starting point. Why these? Well, because of this benefit and that benefit, and these other wallets don't do the things that we want them to do as well. So there's that. And then, I need to get some in there. Okay, let's go. And, private markets for the buying and selling of this stuff can build up quite easily. I mean, that's how I got my first, through Gary, through somebody who wanted to sell some. I don't mind.
Yeah. Both Effin Farmer and Bowler Hat Farmer are on BSV. I've spoken to both of them. They both know.
Yeah, well, it might be good to do a show, Gary. We'll get you and Mark on, and we just talk about building up more detail on the pragmatics for farmers. Because obviously, if you were seeing all these farm shops, they go, well, I'll take BSV. We go, great, okay, cool. I'll start buying from you. That kind of stuff. Some wag mentioned, I think when the last time you were on, and a good, intelligent wag at that, the thing we need to really be able to buy and sell is beer. Seriously, beer SV is what we really want. We want beer SV, and it could play a role in restoring the fortunes of these pubs that are just being shut down and hammered, just like farms.
Completely.
All of the sort of cultural icons of this land are being hammered. We've got to find a lifeline, and people out there listening to this may not be fully convinced. I don't imagine that you would be at first hearing or even second hearing, but I'm just suggesting that start to put aside a little time each week to pay attention to it and look at it and let it sink in, because it's without a doubt the best horse for us to get on and ride at this moment in time. Things change in history, they always do. Best laid plans of mice and men, blah, 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 blah. But this has got a momentum to it, it seems to me, and the way that you describe it, Gary, I find so useful, to really just put an anchor in and go, you need this in your kit bag, it needs to be right at the top of the list. We want to get rid of banks, this is how you do it. This is a proactive way. We don't fight the banks. We simply deny them the oxygen that they've been breathing, which is your pocket. We're going to deny them access to your pocket. It seems that's part of it, and we need to phrase these things.
It's inflation that kills It's inflation that's responsible for all of society's problems. It's inflation. We're using a toxic medium of exchange that's constantly going down in value. So unless you can somehow increase your prices in line with inflation, or somehow reduce your overheads, you're constantly fighting an uphill battle to stay profitable and in business. So this is why it's absolutely essential that this is why I initially sort of like went to the truth community, and then immediately went to the farmers, because food security is absolutely essential for the survival of a sovereign nation. And then obviously pubs as well. So it's just it literally solves everything. All it is trying to explain it to them. But literally, once you get it, you're like, okay, right. So you just download a wallet, just like downloading WhatsApp, swipe and send. That's it. Literally, no different from sending a WhatsApp message. I would actually say that using StreamYard is more complicated than sending a Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah, it could well be.
Right, so let's do this simple. I go out to my local farm shop and I buy eggs up there, okay? And I pay about £7. I buy quite a few eggs. Now, I go in there and I want to pay by this new wallet. Now, I'm sorry, it probably sounds very stupid of me, but so what do? I normally I pay by cash. I give them a £10 note and they give me the cash and I walk out and that's it. Do I use my mobile phone, or can I use a spare mobile phone that I download the information onto?
Yeah, you can use any electronic device that you can any electronic device that you use WhatsApp on. you can use Bitcoin on.
I see.
Yep.
Right. That's
But
interesting.
then, are we trying to get away from that world where we're being tracked on
Well,
everything
that's
we do?
it. That's it. So long as you're using the Bitcoin network for everything. So what will happen is that you will get messaging apps like WhatsApp being built on the Bitcoin network, and so long as you're using the Bitcoin network for all of your digital requirements, so every single message is a Bitcoin transaction, and you know it's going on the Bitcoin network, then you know that it's not going through the private corporate servers of the cabal, where they can data scrape all the information on you.
Because I was just thinking about that. Like, for example, if I go and get a train ticket now or tomorrow, if I use my bank card, they know that ticket belongs to me, and they can track me where I get on and where I get off the train. Whether would that work in the same way with Bitcoin? I suppose it'd be the same principle, wouldn't it? I suppose.
Well, the train station would know that you bought a ticket from them, but the bank wouldn't know. Nobody else would know. It would be a private transaction between you and the train company.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know? Whereas at the moment, what they're trying to do is they're trying to link you, whoever it is you're dealing with, your car, your phone, your email, your bank. They want everything all in one place, so they can just simply shut you off at a moment's notice. So they can track and trace you. Whereas if you're using the Bitcoin network, it's a private transaction. So therefore, if you trust that the train company not to sell your data, and you can do them for GDPR if they do, then that's the only people that knows about it is you and the individual that you transacted with at the train station.
Yeah, which is how it should be. At the end of the day, the government don't need to know where you're traveling to. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if the government does try to pry in, well, what business is it of yours? What right do you have? In fact, even if the government approaches you, if they ask you a question, that is actually a breach of the peace. They have got no right to speak to you. They will speak when spoken to. That's it.
Yep, we like that. It's going to be a gradual process. I think there'll be but all the questions that we're asking around it are all constructive towards leading to a more positive tomorrow, and then another one after that, and another one after that. I mean, I don't know quite how it will actually look as it unfolds, but I'm sort of envisioning this in a virus. I've often said that we need to spring up like blots of fungus in a building, and they go, I've got rid of it here, but it's just there's 50 more just sprung up over here on floor number 2. Bloody hell, got rid of those. Yeah, but 500 have just sprung up on floor 4. Crap.
That's exactly, mate. That is exact. This is why they brought COVID forward, because that's exactly what they're scared of.
Yeah.
Because once that happens, there is no putting the genie back in the bottle.
No, because it will change people's behaviour in ways that we can't fully envisage. But it seems as though those behavioural changes are going to be all positive, mainly positive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they know it.
Yeah.
They know it, which is why they moved COVID forward to try and lock the economy down and bring in their one world government, because they were just like, well, actually, there's more chance of us probably trying to install a one world government than there is of us actually shutting the network down, because the Bitcoin nodes, the mining nodes, they're distributed all around the world, in caves, in mountains, in coal mines, in old disused factories. They're never going to trace them. So they were just like, we're a bit screwed here. Maybe we've got more chance of installing a one world government and banning it than we have of actually taking the network down. But either way, the number of crimes that they've committed over the years and the size of their organization, they were just like, oh shit, we can't backtrack and return and tell everybody in our organization, don't worry about it, because they're all being paid, and they're being paid to poison us, at every single turn. And suddenly, if they were to say, oh, actually, maybe lay off that poisoning a little bit, then they'd start getting worried, because people in the network would be like, well, hold on a minute, what are you getting worried for? I just went and killed about 10 people in that village over there by poisoning their water wells. You're telling me that you're getting worried? That means I'm going to get found out.
Yep.
There's literally, and people. I've had conversations with other people, and they were saying, oh, well, they don't really seem to be getting desperate yet. And I was just like, well, the reason they don't appear to be getting desperate yet is because they cannot afford to let their organization know that they are concerned. They cannot afford to let their organization know that they're concerned. But if they weren't concerned, they wouldn't have moved COVID forward 5 years, and risk not having their infrastructure in place, which is what they did. They are absolutely at the very top. They are absolutely concerned. They know what they're faced with.
They're in panic mode anyway. I think they've been in panic mode for quite some time now.
Well, have we been given a button to their panic? We might be given a button here. I mean, the thing is, it's not like you have to devote your entire life to this, although there seems to be quite a few benefits to doing that. It's definitely worth getting behind it. But the more we can spread it around, it's like the knowledge of the way the network works is as important as actually using BSV, because that's its ultimate, really one of the massive benefits of the whole thing is that this thing, that you see, they can't really shut the net down because all of their criminal organization of government runs on it now. They've moved over to it. They can't just sort of, we'll cut all that down. They're going to shut it down. They can't. They're dependent on it as well. They've built that. They just want you all to be dependent on them being in charge of the whole thing. This thing takes that ability for someone or entities to be in charge of it away. Whereas with BTC or whatever that other one is that they're always pushing, the one that the central banks are going to pick up. Yeah, that one. And there's another one in there. Yeah, all these things, they're their toys. And they're luring people in, obviously, with the buy Bitcoin low, sell it high type stuff. But, of course, everybody's just sitting on it as a pile of money. To what? Translate back into US dollars, which won't be able to buy anything, or euros, or pounds, or that kind of stuff.
Yep.
We're waiting for that understanding penny to drop as well. It's a big one, because nobody really thinks about money in terms. It's very simple. I want stuff and I want more money. Okay. And we're like drug addicts. And it's like what you say about inflation. It causes increased dependency on their system because you're going to get less with your pound next year than you got last year. You just are, certainly.
Well, Well, this is where people need to know the difference between money and currency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another deception. But one of the things that they're trying to hide is like BTC's got a market cap of 1.5 trillion, Ethereum 273 billion, XRP 88 billion. But BSV, if we look at it, their market cap is just 316 million. It's nothing, and yet it is literally number one in the utility charts. We've got currently 2.8 million transactions in the last 24 hours, and Ethereum in second place has only got 1.9.
Say that again. Say that again. That's really interesting. I don't know where you got to get this stuff. You're going to have to send me these links because I'm going to start watching stuff. So 2.8 million in the last day on
24
BSV.
Hours, yeah. And that represents 46% of the entire crypto market.
In terms of numbers of transactions.
Yeah.
That's the underlying teller. That really is.
And Ethereum is basically, Ethereum can't scale. It's got 1.9, whereas we're now at 2.8. And XRP is at 677,000, BTC at just 414,000. And BSV 2.8 million, almost 50% of the entire crypto market's volume on its network.
No one talks about it. If anybody bumbling into this space won't even hear about it, will they? I didn't hear about it until I bumped into you. So Mark's got a lot to answer for in a good way, I mean, seriously. Yeah, it's. It's almost like doing an extended copy briefing. Talking to you, which I really like. It's like, okay, what is this thing? And slowly make the points. Well, all right, so these are the features, these are the benefits. What's the opposition like? Oh, it kicks 10 bells out of them here. Oh, all the way up and down the line. Yeah. So why do people not know about it? Because it's dangerous to the powers that should not be. Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like Ethereum, which we are like almost like doubly ahead of, their market cap is 1,000x. Almost 1,000x. It's 1,000 times more than what BSV is right now. 1,000 times. And yet we are absolutely smashing it in the utility in the utility charts. And this thing, it's an economic model. What will happen is as the block fee gets cut in half every 210,000 blocks and ends at zero, what replaces that is the utility, which is the transaction volume. And we're absolutely smashing them. And this is why they were shutting down my channels whenever I started explaining this to people. I was like, look, it's blatantly obvious what's going on. The price is artificially suppressed. because they stole everybody's BSV back in 2019 in order to use those supplies to artificially suppress the price, to spin the narrative to say, oh, look, the market's decided. Don't bother looking at that. It's a load of crap. The transaction volume is still there, smashing them. So it's only a matter of time. Like, I'm here talking to you, gents. Suddenly you guys know about it. You're like, oh, right. Well, who else is going to know about it?
Yep. Well, in terms of these channels, obviously we're going out over YouTube and Rumble. I think Rumble's going to be more solid for longer than YouTube will. I keep getting messages from YouTube and stuff. They wanted to give me a training today because on one of the shows we were talking about nicotine and something else, and I had to answer all these questions to release the channel. So I did. It took me sort of 5 seconds or something like that. 5 minutes. I don't mind. But we might get to a point where YouTube goes down the Swanee, and I really couldn't care less. But I do think that Telegram as an arena for actually broadcasting and setting up, radio shows for this topic and other topics could be key. There are just tons of the sorts of people that use Telegram. I've just got a sense there's a much higher percentage of people that are open to this sort of stuff. It draws a certain type because people that use Telegram have hunted it out. They've found it out. They've gone and done, oh, what's this one? Same with Signal. These, they're people who are already conscious on some level about privacy concerns. So that might be an arena. It's there's a lot of communications marketing required. Simply getting the word out is all I mean. So that more and more time, people spend more and more time listening to it as an idea. 5 seconds on day one, half a minute on day two. By the end of the week, they sit down and listen to a 5-minute thing. Oh, all right. A couple of months later, they've got a wallet. It's that sort of stuff. I don't know what the path is. We don't even need to measure it, but we just got to keep pounding away. But I'm sure we can improve the ways that we do pound away in terms of reaching more and more people.
So long as we are on top of this and leading the charge, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's the truthers who know what's going on that are actually going to use their economic power to start putting right what these bastards have done wrong.
Yeah.
I was saying that to the woman in M&S today. I was saying that we're all scattered around the country, but obviously we're all scattered around the country for a reason. So it may be that we're scattered where we are, so we can show people. Because obviously, if we all lived in one place, we'd not be able to sort of get this out into the community. Whereas living in different places, we're obviously chosen to be awake in certain parts for that reason, so we can actually point people in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, decentralization is a thing that makes it much more difficult for them to deal with. Instead of 1 million people down the village or in London doing it, you've got 5 million people spread out across the whole earth, or whatever it is. You go, oh, we've got to go to all of them. Yeah, you're going to have to get in your car, mate, or phone them up, or do all this kind of stuff. I know they'll bombard people digitally if they can. Just going back to wallets, Gary, as well, just the sort of technical things. The phone, of course, has become an inseparable part of everybody's life. Unfortunately, in many cases, for very bad, attention-sapping reasons and stupefying developmental thought and all that and the other. Is there a hardware phone, like an independent open-source operating system phone, that would be more useful for using this, or doesn't it really matter? Is that a sort of non-critical part of this?
It's not a critical part, really. Like
right.
Literally any factory reset smartphone will be fine. Mm-hmm. The reason you do a factory reset is just to make sure there's no malware in it. And this is exactly why you don't ever buy or use any crypto gimmicks, because every single crypto gimmick, like Nano Ledger and all these like crappy things, they've all got backdoors in. They've all got backdoors. I know so many people that have had their coins stolen. So you just don't ever use a crypto gimmick, literally, and because Bitcoin is software, so literally just get secondhand mobile phone, factory reset on it, download a Bitcoin wallet. That's all you need.
So we need this on the crib sheet, don't we? We could do with a chart of all these, things like you just mentioned, whatever it is, that are filching people's stuff. Yeah, like avoid this, spiv alert. Here they are.
Yeah. But I mean, people will start listening when number goes up. The only reason people aren't listening at the moment is just because they're too busy listening to all these shitcoin channels. Yeah, all about number go up, and honestly, the number of narratives. Because the reason they come out with all these narratives is because everything that Bitcoin can't do, they claim to have a shitcoin that can. Oh, Bitcoin can't do this. We've got a shitcoin that can. Bitcoin can't do that. Oh, we've got a shitcoin that can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything that Bitcoin everything they make up that Bitcoin can't do, they think of another coin that can do it. But it's all bullshit. Bitcoin can do absolutely everything. And when they realize it, that is when they're going to come running. And this is what I keep saying. People will unite due to economic incentives. So when they start saying, "Oh, right, so Bitcoin is BSV, tell me about it," then you say, "Well, yeah, they've been asset stripping you your entire life. And did you know they're now trying to take away your constitutional rights?"
Mm-hmm.
Are they? Yes, they are. And this is how we fix it. Use Bitcoin for everything.
Yeah. So,
Gentlemen,
I think you
goodnight.
sent me... Sorry.
I was going to say, I was going to have to say goodnight if that's okay, because I'm going to head off.
Okay, see you, Paul.
Yeah,
As
go on,
always,
say it then,
brilliant
mate.
show.
Say it, Paul.
Fantastic.
Say goodnight. Go on.
Good night.
Yeah,
Good night, all.
lovely.
Yeah, no,
I'll be in touch,
mate.
Paul.
Good night.
Fantastic having you.
Okay,
Brilliant.
Lois.
Yeah.
Brilliant show.
Thanks,
Yeah,
mate.
take care. Good
Thank
night.
you.
See
See
you
you soon, mate.
Bye.
Bye for now. Bye-bye. Yeah. I can't remember what I was going to say. It's gone out of my head. How about that? Yeah, it happens. Long day.
Never mind.
No, I'm serious. It's been unbelievable. I can't believe we're doing this show, actually. I'm so sort of fired up. I've just been absolutely hacking away, toiling away at incredibly tiresome technical things all day. I won't say it again. Everybody's bored of hearing me saying it, but it's been quite a day to get over that. I think I'm interested in the communications campaign, definitely. Just, like what Eric's saying about really paring it down for newbies, beginners, whatever you want to call it. Everybody starts there. The target market is everyone. And it's literally everyone, because everyone is affected by the diseased currency system at the moment. They just don't know it. They just don't know because they've never been taught what it is. They've just accepted it because, I'm a bank manager. I know what I'm talking about. Really.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
kind of
That's
stuff.
just the way it's always been done.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's pivotal times. Well, and what's next few days? Are you out and about on the hustings? Are you doing things, Gary?
On the hustings, well, I'm fully in support of Rupert Lowe.
Yeah. I meant in terms of your activity pitching to people. Have you got any sort of events coming up, stuff like that, things that you're doing?
Yeah. We've got a good, big event coming up next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I won't mention where it is, just because these things
All
generally tend to get shut down whenever I try to mention it. But yeah, non-stop, mate, non-stop.
That's interesting.
Now,
that's interesting that you have to mention it right at the end. You remember, the historian David Irving? Have you heard about him? You might have heard. of him.
Yeah, brilliant.
I mean, he's at the tail end of his innings, and he's just an amazing asset, which again nobody talks about, right? But he's just now. I once got a phone call from him personally. He personally called me up.
Did you?
Yeah,
Wow.
because he was arranging a meeting, and what they would do is they'd call everybody on the morning of the meeting to let you know what pub in London it was going to be at. They had to leave it that late. Like an emergency alert system. So everybody's on standby waiting for it. It comes through and off they go to avoid unnecessary disruption of the gathering. And it sounds to me you've got a similar sort of, you're not the only person like this, but there's a similar situation brewing here. Do you think that there's some kind of an alert system that could be put in place so that people would be on standby? You could say it's going to be in this county. That's all I can tell you today. But 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, I'm going to tell you exactly where it is, so that they could get there. Do you think there'd be something like that would aid in improving numbers, or maybe they're fantastic already, but anything that would do like that? It's just these sort of mechanisms are very useful if you can work out structures for doing that.
Yeah, in the future that would certainly be useful. But I mean, for now, I just I try and keep things fairly low key and private, just because the topic is quite complicated, and the bigger the room, the less information I'm able to get out.
Right.
And also just because there's so much distrust in it, and also they can send their minions in there and trolls, and because people don't know what I'm talking about, so therefore they're kind of making sense of what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is quite complicated. And so really what they're trying to do is just get a feel for me. Yeah. It's like, okay, I kind of like what this guy was saying. I don't really get it, but it's sort of seemed to make sense. And then it just comes down to whether or not you just trust what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to make it as clear as possible, and explain it as simply as possible. But again, it's hard because it's a new topic. And then, other people have heard so many, bullshit stories and narratives that they just, a lot of people just don't know what to believe. So it's probably and it only takes one bad apple to spoil the bunch. So I'm at the moment I'm just sort of like keeping it relatively low key and private.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we're going to be digitally spreading the word on this. That's really, which is fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything has to be done via network, because the moment you try and broadcast it, they'll just simply shut your channel down.
Yeah.
So this is everything has to be done via networking, which is why I ended up getting in contact with you gents.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, it's, as I've said to you personally, it's like a new lease of life for me, in the sense of going back into this financial space, looking at things I did a long time ago, which were incredibly naff in comparison, but they provided me my learning at that time, so they were very useful, even though the actual final outcome was extremely unuseful. But the learning curve was tremendously useful in terms of sort of, getting the backstory on the whole of this shenanigans. It's a little bit more than that, of course. It's actually murderously bad. But now that there's a solution that's a standout solution, I mean, the more I keep thinking about the transactional capacity of the network, the more I can't help but think that this is the sort of killer part of the app, that everybody's going to be able to use it, and the other ones you can't. So you go, well, why can't you use them? And therefore, they've been designed to not be fully functional, but to really hive money off, or currency from the current situation, and to create a sort of big sort of tent, rah sort of thing. It's all amazing and lots of drama. The price has gone up, it's gone down, it's done this, it's done that. But nobody's actually spending it to service any exchanges of goods and services, not in any considerable degree. The number that you gave on the transactions is, I'm still thinking about it, because that's early days at 300 million in there, and it's doing that volume of transactions a day. You're thinking, this is going to exponentially grow, and the network can cope with it, whereas these other networks cannot. Yeah.
It solves the unbounded scaling problem. I mean, this is why Visa and MasterCard are stuck at sort of 50 to 60,000 transactions per second, whereas a Bitcoin has already been proved to do 3 million transactions a second, and it can do billions. It literally can absorb all the world's internet traffic. And what we're seeing now is just simply the start of it. But the fact is, because the technology is so new and all these other chains are so shit, you can see the transaction volume now. Literally 50% of the entire market's transaction volume on the genuine Bitcoin.
Amazing.
And yet the price is so unbelievably suppressed. But literally these other coins are like 1,000x on this. So this is what I'm saying. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, for us truthers to actually, have some economic power to fight back with. It's huge.
You've talked about apps. I know you sent me something of people placing calls, VoIP calls, as it were, over the blockchain network. Are there groups developing apps to run on the blockchain right now?
Indeed.
There are. And are there websites that list them and show you what they're up to? There must be, right?
Yeah. The I think MetaNet app is the main one, where sort of like it's the central hub for all the app developers at the moment.
Right.
If ever there's like a new one on, I can send you the links.
Yeah, cool. I mean, have they got a website that you can go to?
I think it's MetaNet app. I think
MetaNet.app.app.
I think so. Yeah, I'll just see if I can find it for you.
Yeah, this is useful.
MetaNetApps.com.
Right. Okay. Cool. I'm just going to bring it up on my screen, and I'm going to type it in the chat for people that want to get into it to that degree. I mean, I obviously do. MetaNetApps.com. Okay, got it. Yeah. Cool. Brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. That's for some quiet reading tomorrow morning over the toast. I'll get stuck into that. That's brilliant. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. So these are all the... So it's like the GitHub for blockchain development.
Yeah, pretty apps. Much.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's loads there, and there's loads more being built as well.
What's the... I mean, the understanding of BSV... Is there any sort of part of the world where there's already a more advanced understanding, and are the US sort of more knowledgeable? I mean, numerically, I'd imagine that they were higher in volume simply because of the scale of the country. But is it sort of, other parts of Eastern Europe that have really caught onto it, or India or Pakistan or something like that?
Mate, no one has a clue.
Right.
No one.
And we never
Literally,
will.
I am the only one. I'm the only individual in the entire world that has managed to extract the Bitcoin protocol from the white paper and then try and explain it.
Right.
Because because unless you can actually, and the only way you can explain it is if you understand the difference between money and currency, and people don't even know that. So first of all, I have to explain the difference between money and currency and how money is a commodity and currency is a security. And then I have to explain how you commoditize data. And then I point the finger at BSV. That's the only way you're going to explain it. It's like, oh, right. But I mean,
yeah.
And then people don't like what you're saying because they've got money in something else and they've been told that this is going to save the world and blah, 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 blah. And what you're talking about is a scam. And all this.
Oh yeah,
all this crap.
I've never heard things like that before.
Exactly,
because it requires a leap for most people, given where they're currently at. I totally understand it. It does. Yeah. It just requires a bit of a leap. They go, "Oh, I don't know whether I'm wasting my time." Well, you got to spend a bit more to find that out. Once you've got a few sort of signals coming back, you're probably going to find out that you're not. And I think it's probably. I'm trying to think of any opportunity recently, and there haven't been many. In fact, there's never been anything like this, purely because of this technology existing the way that it does to connect us together, that has provided the layman with a way to fight back, not by directly fighting against them, but by putting himself in a place where they can't get at him or her anymore, reducing the amount of vulnerability that we've got to this hellish system that's brought us to this ridiculous point. All by design, of course. Yeah. No, fab. Fantastic.
Honestly, yeah. On that note, I also need to leave and go to bed because it's
fine. It's fine. I'll be left. I think Eric's gone to bed as well. He just slopes off, or he fell asleep behind the microphone, or he certainly disappeared off the screen. Gary, it's been fantastic having you. Just as a shout out as well, those of you that need more of this, and I'm hoping that's all of you in due course. I'm on with Gary has a show every Monday on FFT Radio, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's on immediately before Eric's show, and I'm on with him currently every week. That's how it's going, and there'll be other people joining in on that. And I think what we'll try and do, Gary, is look at you mentioned it a few weeks ago. We look at try to get a more larger ensemble piece to do a sort of maybe a 2-hour stint on this and get Mark involved and maybe get some farmers involved who are like newbies to sort of pitch to them inside the show and outline what the benefits of this thing are and why it's worth anybody's time to spend 12 quid or whatever it is in getting at least one. Because once you've got one, no matter how small the stake, you're in it. You're going to pay considerably more attention to it and start to understand it more fully. And then it'll get to a point where you'll understand it as much as riding a bike. Really, I think it's got to get to that point. It will. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Very quickly.
Fantastic having you on. Have a cracking rest of the day and the week. Not much of the day left, is there? I'll see you. We'll have you back in a few weeks' time or whenever, a couple of months. Right. And you can catch us at 7 p.m. on Monday if you want more. And you better.
Brilliant,
Gary.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Catch you later.
Cool.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye for now. Bye-bye. Okay, Gary Glendale, everybody. Wow. And we're just wrapping up here. We've got 13 minutes to go, and I've got to fill the time. Paul, I hope you'd like to say something. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do a monologue about something.
Oh, yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. I would just love to... I'd love to get the information on the presumption of subjectdom to him, and just a clarification of the laws of the city as opposed to the it's the Babylonian merchant code is what's basically got everybody by the short hairs. It's not so much admiralty. It's not maritime. It's just Babylonian. So,
isn't the Babylonian commercial code now referred to as the Universal Commercial Code?
Yeah, the UCC.
The UCC, right?
So, but everything is done. Everything government does is, first of all, by presumption that they are in control, which they're not. Mm-hmm. And when they make that presumption, if it's not rebutted, then guess what? They're in control. He's absolutely right that the affidavit is the highest form of truth in law. Affidavit of truth trumps everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And you are the one who decides what system of laws you'll be governed by and where your residency will be, both geographically and politically. See, they assume that your political residence is under their jurisdiction. And he used those words too, residence and jurisdiction. The two go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So you have to be non-resident to their political jurisdiction and just a geographic resident on a piece of dirt that God gave you when you took your first breath. So it's lots of stuff people don't know. And boy, it just...
Well, I mean, obviously the legal fight, there's so many different fights. Oh, it's the wrong word, but there's so many areas that we've got to confront. Well, I suppose that's nearly like a fight, isn't it? And deal with. And wrap it. I just think if we can get stronger on all fronts all at once, and it won't be down to individuals. There's only so much that you can cope with, right? You go, well, my head's full of this kind of stuff, and this is how I'm hacking away at the root. And you look at the legal thing. Is that another part of the root? Yep, this is another major root of the whole thing, or the lawful thing, however we want to describe it. So many different areas. You know, there's the manglement of language. There's all this kind of stuff. You can go quickly from a sort of layman's introduction right through to detailed stuff very, very fast. Of course, on the way, you lose a lot of people in the conversation because you don't know where they're at. And that's just like context setting. Going, you're all at different points. We all are. Don't worry where you're at. Wherever you're at, we've nearly all been there, apart from the brightest spark in the room, whoever that might be today. And they're ploughing new ground for all of us. You know, that's how it works.
If they watch mainstream or primetime TV, I know exactly where their head is at. It's in the clouds. It's in a hypnotically induced fog. And they are just simply going through the motions. They conduct their day by muscle memory, and that's all it is. They wake up at a certain time. They eat at a certain time. They fight gridlock. Mm-hmm. They punch in at a certain time. They sit in their cubicle. They work for 2 hours. They get a 10-minute coffee break. Then they work for another couple hours. Then they get 30 minutes for lunch. Then they work for a couple hours, and they crash, and they go to the vending looking for something to give them enough energy and enough will to get through the day just to get back in their motor car and fight gridlock to go back home. They're exhausted because of their day. They turn on the mainstream news. They microwave their dinner, something that has absolutely no food value whatsoever. They sit down and watch the talking heads tell them what they should think and why, and then they drift off to bed just to wake up and do it all over again the next day. That's not a life. That's an existence.
You're right.
And we need to get people to stop watching mainstream TV, stop watching primetime news and primetime television. We need to get them reading again. We need to get their faces out of their smartphones, and we need to get them start thinking in a self-governance mindset to actually try to figure out, okay, if I do this, what could be the result of that? What could be the consequences of that? Mm-hmm. Well, if those are the consequences, I don't want to do that. They need to practice self-governance first. While we retake control of the government, let the government be in control, because I don't have a problem with the government being in control as long as the government itself is controlled, as long as they are doing the bidding of the people and not the other way around. I don't have a problem with them being in control while we're out here busily teaching people how to live their life with personal responsibility and peace.
Yeah.
So it's a tall order. It's going to take time, but I think we can do it.
Well, I think once the momentum is set and the journey gets clearer to more and more people, the train will pick up speed, as it were. I just think it's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
Really, that's it. And don't put more on your plate that you can digest, and you just have to accept that it's going to take time, and we might, everybody listening here may not see the end of it or where they envisage it. It's like, all of us have got that bit where we go, if I could just wave the magic wand. Well, we can't do that, but we've been given another one. There are certain tools available, of which I think BSV is definitely one. There are others that complement that. As I've banged on here forever, I do think that until that's solved, our chances of solving any of the other areas are so colossally reduced that it's an extremely painful, laborious life with very little sort of victories along the way. You get this out of the way, you'll start to see things. And we've got all the tools available to us to do the communicating, to simplify this, to train ourselves and others, because it's a buzz. It is an absolute buzz getting other people to join in on something that you're supporting and see it work. And this is the key thing. You just go, look at that. It's like the hidden glue in life. And it is hidden to most people because they've never really, understandably, like fish in water, they've never really seen it. But the positive is that we've now got, because of the COVID thing, really, more people have been alerted to something. I know it's called waking up or whatever. It doesn't matter. They've been alerted to something, and every single area now is up for inquiry. And this is great. It's a really good thing. Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah, well, I think in answer to your question as to whether you, I, or anybody else we know will still be alive when this thing turns around, I think that's pretty much a solid no, because it took them over a century to break it. Mm-hmm. It's going to take at least half that long to fix it. And I'm telling you, I don't have another 50 in me. I wish I did, but I don't. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
No, that's cool.
So,
yeah.
Well,
good
today
stuff.
Today was a great show. It had a rocky start, and technical hiccups happen. That's the beauty of independent radio. It's the beauty of it. I'm thinking after the week you've had, I could probably not bother asking you if you plan on stopping by the ranch tomorrow morning.
I don't know. It's funny, I've been so energized today. I was so exhausted from yesterday, envisaging terrible things, and all that kind of stuff. And then it has been pretty grim, I have to tell you. But I've really got to it today, and I've got a couple of areas to sort out, and everything's going to be back on track pretty much. There's a bit of gathering up to do, and I'll be better for it. We'll just get better for it and all that kind of stuff.
If you think it would be a mental health day, there is always an open invitation for you to come by the Radio Ranch.
Cool.
Always.
Okay. Yeah, fantastic. We're gonna bid you farewell. I've got a different track to play out because I've lost my outgoing music, but I know where to find it again. I've just not enough time to actually pull everything back into the space. If you're tuning into FFT Radio on Sunday, Rhea Bowes on. We pick up that live show from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. UK time. I'm on there in the last hour. I'm on there every 2 weeks, every fortnight. It's an alternating guest for the last hour. Always a lot of fun. And I did send a message to Rhea. She empathized because I think she had a similar thing about 3 or 4 months ago where the whole thing went kabooey. It took her like 4 days to rebuild all her servers. It's fun stuff. But if you don't have to deal with those things, that's fine. Anyway, we've got Freddie King here playing us out with Tore Down, but we're going to build things up. We'll see you all same time next week. Different outgoing song this week. Maybe I'll change it from now on by needs must. See you all next week, everybody. Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Die for you if you want me to. I really don't believe your love.